Tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know. Well, here's the tale. Tennis is widely known to be a French sport. It dates back to the 12th century when people used handmade balls, and it was then called tennis, which is the verb to hold in French. And people used some pretty wacky material to make the balls with: cork, wool, chalk, animal fur, and even human thing called vulcanized rubber. Out of that, people started developing air-filled rubber balls, which were properly bouncy, but either red or grey in colour. These were manufactured in Melton Mowbray. That's right, the home of the pork pie. One problem, the balls kept on breaking on impacts with the racket. The call of "new balls please" seemingly coming over every other point. Step forward English lawyer and tennis enthusiast John Moyer Heathcote, who suggested balls be covered in flannel to stop them from degrading. And thus the modern-day tennis ball was born. But these were white or black, so how did they become yellow? Well, in 1967, the controller of BBC Two, one Sir David Attenborough, decided the corporation should show Wimbledon on colour TV. He got his wish, and it was wide into people's homes across the country. The only sticking point, the white balls were nearly impossible to see on the screen. So the International Tennis Federation, sensing an opportunity, started developing a new ball that would be visible even without the need for 4K LED displays. Not that anyone had that in the late 60s. After rigorous testing, they came up with the colour optic yellow and decided every ball be coated in that colour from there on in. And there you have it. Tennis balls are yellow, all because Sir David Attenborough wanted to watch Wimbledon from the comfort of his own front room. You could say the ITF aced it.
Welcome to Kick Off with me, Natalie Sawyer, and it is the Daily Mirror's assistant editor Darren Lewis and former England midfielder Danny Murphy alongside me this Monday evening. So the Premier League returned at the weekend, but it was a familiar tale for Manchester United fans as they lost the derby 3-0. But the match itself was played in the back room of the incredibly sad news of Ricky Hatton's passing. We'll be joined by our boxing host Adam Catterall to pay our respects later on in the show. We'll also look back on the key stories that have come out from the Premier League's return. Plus, Chris Wilder is back at Sheffield United and the Champions League returns this week. Lots to get into. This is Kick Off on talkSPORT. Darren and Danny, how you doing?
Anything happened since last week?
Just a few things. Just a few. But good week, nonetheless.
Yeah, really good. Really good. I actually enjoyed the international break. You know, some really good games, good performances as well. Not Norway, 11-1 against Moldova. I love fantasy scores like that.
Yes.
Dan?
Especially as we were talking before that Serbia game. You don't get big scores anymore after the Andorra one, and then they put 11 past them. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's been a good weekend, actually. I mean, I worked last night and did those games, but kept an eye abreast of everything Saturday, and there was so much going on, so much good stuff to watch.
Yeah.
Brentford did well.
Don't forget that if you're into your WSL right now, over on talkSPORT 2, Leanne Sanderson is hosting the Women's Football Show. That's until 8, or you can actually listen in to the full show once it's over, wherever you get your podcasts. So shall we touch on our magic moments then from the weekend, Danny?
You go first.
Oh, go on.
The equaliser for Brentford, Fabio Carvalho, well deserved. They fought all the way to the end. They believed that they could get that point as well. That's what I liked about the performance. I think they were valued probably for the win, but I think the draw was probably the right result.
Yeah, I was there. I think that's right. But go on, Danny.
I forgot to think about it, but I actually think that's not a bad thing, because what comes to your mind first tends to be the most relevant thing, and what I remember. I think the Cole Palmer subbing him coming on and the finish, it was kind of like, I love him anyway. And he's got this way of playing football I think everybody admires, that freedom and that just expressing himself and the calmness of the finish. And I can't explain to people how difficult it is when you come off the bench, no matter how good a player you are, just to get your rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't slash at it. He didn't like panic. It's just a beautiful caressed side foot in the corner. And I was, you know, when you just sit back thinking, admiration.
I think there are the only player he reminds me of who slows everything down or plays as though everything is in slow motion is Berbatov.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what's going on. He just does what he wants to do.
The best example I ever saw of that, just deviating, was I had the pleasure of playing against Zidane once.
Yeah.
And I'd never played in a game where one player could speed it up and slow it down.
I was about to say their own tempo, basically.
It's unbelievable. I mean, he did have Figo with him who was helping him, to be fair, which he was good at it as well. And we're just looking around. What's going on?
Imagine.
Like 1 minute you're in slow motion, next it's just... Yeah, he has got that ability, Cole Palmer.
Yeah, I think he's...
Big plus for Chelsea having him back.
Yeah.
Very fortunate to have built a good team around him, because I think there will be more than a few even bigger clubs. Just half an eye on.
Well, look, we'll talk more about that Brentford-Chelsea game because it was quite eventful, especially when you think about the title race and everything like that, even though it's early days of this Premier League season. No, well, I wasn't saying Brentford so much. Chelsea might have considered at one point. That's to come. Can I just indulge in my magic moment, which, funny enough, does centre on the Brentford-Chelsea game? Jordan Henderson.
Yeah.
What a performance by him, I have to say.
Yeah, he played well.
A full 90 minutes this time around. He hasn't played full 90 for us. And actually, funny enough, I was saying we need him to play 90 minutes because that game management that he can bring with that experience and that leadership, and it was fascinating to watch him on the pitch, things you wouldn't have seen on TV, just how he is directing, how he's having chats and discussions with his teammates, just so important. And I'm glad he's getting the plaudits.
Would you say, and I remember you schooling me many times about the impact that Gary McAllister had on a young Liverpool team when he went there. I wonder, with Keith Andrews being new to management, stepping up, and a team, one or two new players in there as well, an old head, a winner, somebody who just knows how to keep, convey the manager's message on the pitch, but also keep feet on the ground when things go well and help players not to worry too much when things don't. He's a fabulous signing in that regard.
I think so as well, because of them losing Norgard, who did kind of was that, not quite the same level as Henderson of experience, but an older player who's been around the block and very, very good at calming things down from a football perspective. But I'm a big advocate in older players being signed for big clubs, little, smaller clubs, whatever, because they bring so much balance on and off the pitch, whether it be the levels at training, whether it be little tidbits that help you during the game when your emotions are getting the better of you. And you're right, in terms of, I'm sure his relationship with Andrews is lieutenant, passing on the message. I think it was a really clever move when they lost the captain and brought him in. And if he stays fit, I mean, I don't think Brentford will have any problems anyway in terms of relegation battle, but if he stays fit, it gives them that extra ability to game manage and just keep everyone around him calm, which is a key. It was actually a really good team performance from Brentford in terms of discipline and staying in it and not capitulating and all those things that could have happened.
Yeah.
Not only that, but
we are supposed to be talking about this later. I'm loving it. I'm loving how we started.
Now we can deviate. We're adaptable.
All right, go on.
We're adaptable. We don't stick to a schedule. We're not hammering.
They're taking over. They're taking over, Ollie. What can I say? But go on, carry on. Sorry.
No, the point I was about to make was all those things we've spoken about Henderson, and we kind of omitted the fact that he can still play as well. The pass, I think, honestly, it was just outstanding, and that was the pass of a player. Again, we're talking about experienced players who can slow the game down, who can spot the big picture. And that was a pass of an outstanding player who still has that timing and that vision in his head.
Yeah. But also a pass that he probably has done before, but because he's not, I don't know, certain. I mean, Trent Alexander always obviously got plaudits. Virgil van Dijk, we know, can do a great diagonal ball too. He never really got those kind of plaudits for those kind of things.
No, Jordan's strength over the years was not, he wasn't classed as a creative spark during his career generally, because although he has got those wonderful moments, scored some great goals over the years and great passes here and there, they're not consistent. He's more of a steady player in terms of that and doesn't take as many risks, which, especially in his younger days, was a criticism. But that's the balance you need in terms of knowing when to be able to take the risks and not. And he's probably in the most comfortable place mentally he's ever been.
Yeah.
You know, he's a leader at Brentford. He's had a wonderful career now, and he may be just freeing him up to, do you know what, I'll try a bit more. I don't have to be as safe, if you like. But no, he is capable. And I think as well it'll help in the fact that when Brentford play teams who are better, especially as a midfielder sometimes when you're on the back foot and you get the transition, those passes are on more.
Yes.
When you're playing for a big club like you did for years at Liverpool and teams come and sit in, those type of passes, you have got to keep probing. Whereas when you're in a lesser team, he'll have much more opportunity to play those types of passes playing for Brentford than he would for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more quick one? When you went to Fulham, were you helped in a similar way to Jordan, in so much as
Like Tommy T.
Sorry, Jordan, if you're listening. He's got so many quick runners around him. Yeah, he hasn't got. Yeah, they did have pace, but you know he's got so many players who can get onto the end of those. Bushada, he's like a whippet chasing Chris Packett around a park.
Yeah.
You know? And that must help him in that regard.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, the manager that's the balance you always try and find. If you have somebody who's got his qualities, you need some legs around him, maybe in certain games to help him. But yeah, the pace they've got on the break is great for that. I think good management and good coaching is always making sure you bring out the best qualities in the players you've got by putting people around them who help those qualities, which is a great segue to Man U.
Producing the show.
Wow, someone told you that? That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, we should obviously touch on Manchester United, which I'm sure we can talk more about as well. But that performance yesterday in the Manchester derby, I don't even know how you sum it up, Danny.
Well, I think the first half, they were all right. They were in the game. They won the ball back high up 4 or 5 times in the first half hour, looked dangerous. They were compact, the shape was good. City are always going to make the odd chance because they've got so much quality, but that first half was pretty even. And the difference between the teams in the first half was not the system, although I'm not a fan of the system. And similarly at Fulham, actually, the other week when they conceded, they were simple mistakes that led to the goal, and ultimately Bruno let in Foden run off the back of him. And it doesn't matter how you set up, it doesn't matter what system you've got. And we can talk more about the system in a bit because I don't think it's the right system for United. I don't think it's the right system for any big team. I think it's a pragmatist system. I think it's a counter-attack system generally. I don't think it's a system that suits the players they've got. But when you've got players playing in positions that don't really suit them and they're being asked to do things they don't normally do, inevitably you're going to get found out. And it happens time and time again from the end of last season or most of last season to the beginning of this. So although I think the system's got better in terms of they're much more compact when they attack, they're much more compact when they're defensive, the gaps aren't as big, they're not getting played through or like looking all over the place as much, especially in the first 3.5 games. But the personnel he's playing in and the quality, you could talk about the quality, but I think round pegs in square holes at the moment for some of those players at United, and it's killing them week in, week out. You know, Bruno's been one of the best number 10s in Europe for years. And he can play in a more central role against teams they dominate because he's such a brilliant technician and a great passer and a wonderful footballer. But when you play against the better teams who've got really intelligent players and athleticism and dominate the ball more, you've got to be 100% concentrated for 90 minutes or you're going to get someone run off the back here. And it happens to him too often. But the manager is playing him now.
Well, this
Luke
is it.
Shaw's a centre-half. He's small. He's never been a centre-half. Getting bullied by Haaland. You know, that he's played Diallo. Diallo didn't play that the other day, but he's played him at wing-back. He's a winger. He's a forward player. And he's playing full-back when the ball's on the other side. You know, all these small things make a difference.
I think the point you're making about the system, I could possibly be inclined to agree with that. I will never be convinced that 3 at the back works for Manchester United. I think that if you think about all of the most storied moments in the last 50, 40 years at Manchester United, it's been with 4 at the back. Only one team in Premier League history has made 3 at the back work, Chelsea, under Conte.
And that was by accident.
Well, Well, yes, because he started with a 4 that season. I was at Arsenal the day they got beaten 3-0, and he switched after that. The players wanted to go to 3 at the back, and they did, and no team beat them for the remainder of the season. But I think with Manchester United, they don't have a manager capable of being able to do that. He's very inflexible. This whole idea of I'm not going to change, that's his ego speaking, because what is best is what suits United and United's players, as you've been saying.
Just on that, though, quickly, because what people talk about when he say you don't have to change philosophy when you change formation.
Exactly.
So there's a bit of a grey area here, because I think some people, when he's talking about his philosophy, I'm not changing my philosophy, that doesn't necessarily mean he won't change the system. I don't think he will, but you can still have the same philosophy. Pep's had the same philosophy for years and tweaked his system. So the philosophy is different than a system. Ultimately, if you play 3 centre-halves and 2 wing-backs, that's 5 defensive players. And if you're defending generally, you've got 5 in a line, which is giving up possession somewhere else on the pitch. And it's not, for me, a system that works for a big club.
No.
And that's why you don't all the best teams in the last 10, 20 years, apart from that Chelsea side. And that's a bit different because they did have 2 of the best defensive midfielders that have graced the Premier League in Matic and Kante.
He did, but he also had Victor Moses playing out right wing back, and Moses had been written off by all. Exactly, and he'd been written off.
And Alonso scored double figures.
He was so good in that system, but there was a discipline about that. There was an authority about Conte. There was Diego Costa up front.
Well, there's always an exception.
People who were able to do what he wanted them to do. This United right now. Listen, there is too much time for me to go into what the trouble is now.
Guess what? We've got time after the break for you to get into it as well. You're tuning in to kick off here on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes, 18 and over, gambleaware.org. We'll continue to look back then on that Manchester derby next. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Pleasure to have your company with us this Monday evening. It is Darren Lewis, Danny Murphy and Natalie Sawyer. It's time for us to bring you an odds update with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And it's a good evening to Chris Wood. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, Natalie. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Especially after that point against Chelsea, as we were discussing. So lots of really interesting results, which we'll try and get more into in the show from the weekend. So what about how that might have affected all the outright betting?
Yeah, no, it's obviously quite an interesting weekend. Good results for Liverpool and Arsenal. Liverpool 6-5 to win the league, and Arsenal were 13-8. City are next in at 7-1. Obviously down to the bare bones, but still got the job done against Man United. Chelsea in at 10-1 after dropping some points at Brentford, and then Spurs are 33s and Man United are 66s. Elsewhere in the other markets, the top four market, Arsenal and Liverpool very short, 1-16 to finish in the top four. City are 4-11, Chelsea are 4-9, and then it's a sort of a three-way race between Newcastle, Spurs, and Man United. Newcastle and Spurs are both 7-2, and Manchester United are 4-1. Bournemouth are in at 11-1, and Brighton are 12-1 there. Lower down the table, the relegation market, Burnley obviously, very close to getting a result against Liverpool, but I think that, it wouldn't. Liverpool were absolutely all over them. Burnley are 1-3 to go down. Wolves are 4-5. I think there's some green shoots for Wolves fans. Sunderland are evens. Leeds are 7-4. West Ham are the real. They've been really disappointing so far. They're 7-4, and then Brentford are next in at 3-1. But I don't think you'll have any. I don't think you should have any sleepless nights there, to be honest.
Oh, I don't know. It's like every result you change your mind, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What about the Champions League, which returns tomorrow? A couple of matches on the talkSPORT network. Athletic Bilbao against Arsenal. That's live at 5:45, and then there's Spurs versus Villarreal as well.
Yeah, the Bilbao game would usually be one I'd be a bit sort of worried about for Arsenal, but they've started so well. They're 10-11 to win there, 5-2 for the draw, and Bilbao 16-5. Bilbao are also going to be missing Nico Williams, which is a huge loss for them. They're going to be relying on Inaki Williams, who's 11-1 to score the first goal and 9-2 to score any time. Obviously, Gyökeres has hit the ground running. He's 4-1 to score the first goal and 6-4 to score any time. Madueke's looked very impressive. He's 5-1 to have an assist. Spurs against Villarreal looks a lot more open, I think. You can back over 2.5 goals there at 8-11, and over 3.5 at 9-5 could be a bit of value there. Spurs 5-6 to win the game, 14-5 for the draw, and Villarreal 3-1. Richarlison's obviously had a very good start to the season. He's 17-4 to score the first goal, and Pape Sarr as well has been really impressive for me. He's 12-1 to score the first goal. The main threats for Villarreal, you've got ex-Guna Nicola Pepe there. He's 9-1 to score the first goal and 130 to score any time. And I read tonight, Manuel Solomon, who's actually at Villarreal on loan from Spurs, has been cleared to play in the game. If he starts the game, it'd be quite a story if he got a goal there. He's 12-1 to score the first goal and 5-1 to score any time.
All right. Okay, well, we look forward to that. Chris, thank you. That was a look at the latest odds with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
Odds update on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Just ahead of that game for Arsenal in Bilbao as they take on Athletic, there is some news just coming out of Mikel Arteta's press conference where he says Martin Ødegaard, the captain, and Ben White will be out of that game. It's a match you can listen into on talkSPORT 2. It kicks off at 5:45. That is tomorrow. We'll have more on that news regarding those injuries a little bit later on in the show. But we're going to get back to discussing the Manchester derby.
Just before we do, I'd like to say a lot of teams... Sorry, I've forgotten his name. Chris just come on saying that City were down to the bare bones. Phil Foden, Doku and Guardiola coming in. How many clubs would like... I mean, if that's bare bones.
True.
And not only that, but I remember Guardiola saying multiple occasions, I want a smaller squad.
Yeah, but still, they've got such an abundance of talent.
No, I totally agree. We agree.
Oh, we're down to the bare bones and still won. Brought in the Player of the Year from 2 seasons ago, Belgian international, and one of the best goal scoring centre halves or left back in European football.
Yeah.
It's like
and
when
certainly,
you open your wardrobe, isn't it? And you see all your shoes there, your trainers.
But you always need a new pair.
You always need a new pair.
Exactly. I'm over that.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, no more trainers for you.
I know I will buy you at some point, but
Just
I won't
not
buy
have-
them when I've like 2 or 3 pairs that I love, and then when they're hammered, go again.
Okay, okay. All right. Let's get back onto the Manchester derby, if you don't mind. And quickly hear from Ruben Amorim, who has been discussing how he is committed to this 3-4-2-1 formation.
Ruben, you said there's a lot of areas you need to improve. Peter Schmeichel has gone on television and said that he's not really seeing any progress after the spending in the summer. Would you agree with that critique?
No, I don't agree, but I understand. So everyone has an opinion.
And do you think your players showed enough commitment in defensive moments when you look at the goals that were conceded?
Yes. Sometimes we are a little bit naive in the approach that we have, but I saw some games that sometimes we can run faster, but they tried. But they were better than us in transitions. We had transitions, they had transitions. They defend well, and we didn't defend well, but they tried to run.
Okay, so that's Ruben Amorim speaking to our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, then after that defeat at the Etihad. You know, if teams are finding a way to kind of unpick your system, surely a manager's duty is to change it. Yet he is doubling down, like you said earlier, Darren. He is sticking to this, and he has actually said as well, when I want to change my philosophy, I will change. If not, you have to change the man. So is the man going to be gone soon?
He's gambling, isn't he? And look, there comes a point, I think, where big clubs have to make big decisions. And last season, United showed a lot of patience with Amorim on the basis that he came mid-season. He didn't want to. He wanted to come at the end of the campaign. They said, come now, don't come at all. So he comes and he manages with what he has. But then he gets a pre-season. He gets £200 million. He gets the players that he wants to reconfigure the Manchester United side. And some of the players, some are still there, some are not, but because he's moved them on. United have really been fair to Ruben Amorim, but I think they're too big a club now to be wedded, some would say chained, to a set of circumstances that is going to wreck their season. They're already out of the League Cup. They now have 4 points from 12 in their opening 4 games. I think you'll struggle to find any fans who are as optimistic or enthused about the season as he is. And sometimes, you know, people talk about the newspapers and the media. We are all the media. I think so many people misunderstand this. When football matches are happening in real time, the people with a financial and emotional investment in football become the media. They're on social media. They are judging your team in real time. And there comes a point where you as a manager, it's very easy to say, I'll shut out all the outside noise. No, these are guys are paying your wages. These guys are coming to support the team. They need something to get behind. And if you look at all of the other big teams, they are making progress. They're bringing in the right players. They're employing them in the right ways. And they are getting a set of a consistent run of form. United are the only big team, really big team, that are underachieving horrendously. And I think if Ruben Amorim were at any of the other big clubs across Europe, he would not have the job anymore.
But you also said it earlier, Danny, that Pep Guardiola, obviously God to many when it comes to footballing philosophy and systems and tactics, etc., he tweaks. You said it earlier.
They all do. I mean, Fergie, to win the Champions League, ended up putting Rooney out wide left and Ronaldo up on his own and played a 4-5-1. Klopp sold Coutinho and loved playing with a 10, and then went with 3 out-and-out midfielders. The engine room in Liverpool
You don't
changed.
even have to go that far. Last season against Nottingham Forest, Slot went to a 3 at the back when the chips were down. So
Well,
that
he
could
completely
get back
changed
on
the system
track.
when they had 10 men against
You look
Yeah.
at the introduction of Donnarumma. He's not good with his feet. Everyone thought Pep likes goalkeepers that play with their feet. Maybe that means he's going to play more direct at
Bad with
times.
his feet, to be fair. But yeah.
That's what everyone's
No,
saying.
I know. I think I still say, and I've seen every minute of all their first 4 games. Second half, as the half went on yesterday, they did get a bit all over the place, a little bit. But other than that, there's definitely been an improvement in how they play the system. It's more compact. They go forward together, they drop off together. It's better. They've got better players in it, because of especially when Cunha and Bumo, Sesko all fit together. That will help them because they've got threat up the pitch. But it's still not the ideal system for the players they've got. And also, they don't have enough of the right players to play that system. So I've talked about Bruno in centre midfield, and we've talked about how Chelsea won it. But even if you look at Palace is a team that's more pragmatic anyway and gives up possession. But their 3 centre halves are all fast, physically brilliant. Like the 3 of them are big, strong boys who can get about the pitch, and so they can squeeze up when they're attacking and run behind. The problem is when United do that sometimes, they get caught with the pace behind. Yoro's the only one really with any decent pace. So they don't have. We talked about the midfield. We talked about wing backs. They don't really, I think, have enough of the right personnel, which sounds ridiculous with the money they've spent, to play that system. And if you simplify it, you can still play Amorim's philosophy of whatever he thinks that is. If you go to a back 4 that stays at home, as in keeps its defensive discipline, 2 holding midfielders, and you put Bruno as a 10 and Bruno on the right, Cunha on the left, Sesko up front, and you say to those 4, you're going to win us games, and the other 6 protect what we've got, I think you'll see United... I think you'd see them fly.
We'll have to take a break.
Not fly, but I think you'd see them...
I agree with Brian and Burma. I want to see him more as what he was like at Brentford.
He did all right.
No, he did actually.
But he's not playing as he played at Brentford.
No, that's what I'm
Brentford,
saying.
he was wide on the right.
At
United, he's inside.
He's good. Well, he has. He's been one of the better players.
This is what I want to ask after the break. After the break, are you... Good isn't good enough for Man United. Sure. They've got to be better than that. You've been at a big club. You know the standards required. So I think we should kind of step outside of the tactics.
Right. Okay. We can talk more about this, plus also bring you the Man City perspective and talk about Erling Haaland. Is he playing better than ever? That's what his manager says. We'll get you guys' take on that next.
pads are a footballer's best friend. Even if players like Jack Grealish do wear such small ones you can barely even see them. But what's the story with shin pads, and are there actually any rules on how big they should be? It all started with cricket, actually. Cricketers had been wearing shin pads since the 1700s. It was thanks to this guy that shin protection made its way over to football. Meet Samuel Widdowson. He was a cricketer and a footballer. He played for Nottingham Forest back in the late 1800s, and he wanted a way to protect his legs from nasty tackles. Naturally, his mind drifted to his other favourite sport, where players had been wearing these pads for a century. Story goes, Widdowson cut up his cricket pads and popped them on before taking to the footy pitch. His Nottingham Forest team then began wearing them from 1887, and the first known use of them in a match was in 1894, in a match between Newcastle and the then Woolwich Arsenal. Eventually, FIFA clocked on that this kind of protection was pretty important for footballers. And so, in 1990, basically 100 years after Widdowson first put them on, shin pads were made compulsory. It became part of Law 4 of IFAB. That's the body responsible for setting the laws of the game internationally. But the law doesn't actually specify anything about measurements of shin pads. It just says they must be made of a suitable material and be of an appropriate size to provide reasonable protection. It's really vague, even though there have been calls for it to be changed. But for now, that's why Grealish and co can still get away with these ones, which are no bigger than a credit card and which seem to offer little to no protection whatsoever.
Good evening and welcome along to Kick-Off here on talkSPORT. It is Danny Murphy, Darren Lewis and Natalie Sawyer with you until 10 this evening. And just to let you know, Jamie Vardy came through half an hour on his debut for his new side in Serie A, Cremonese, as they end up in a goalless draw at Verona. How about that? 38 years old.
Yeah.
Flying his trade initially. That's pretty decent, isn't it? Hey-ho, that is great. He's obviously playing there with the likes of Luka Modric now in Italy, as is Kevin De Bruyne. A little bit of a veteran's paradise, but a nice veteran's paradise.
Bit like the studio, isn't it?
Good point.
Yeah, not really. Thanks.
He didn't break a smile at all.
No.
Internally.
He didn't like that at all. We will move
For
on.
a second, he was talking about you, and I was like, why are you calling Natalie a veteran?
I mean,
drop.
but to be honest, I kind of thought it was all of us.
Not a veteran. It's just it's your panel. It's your panel.
Let's talk about a young un, Erling Haaland, shall we? Who scored a brace in that Manchester derby in that 3-0 victory over Manchester United. Let's first of all hear from Pep Guardiola, who's been speaking about him and thinks he's better than ever.
Erling never disappointed us since arrived already 3-4 years ago. So Erling have been the commitment. That's why he extend a contract for many, many years. So he's a special player. But we cannot forget, so in December, for many reasons, many especially injuries and players. And this summer we bring 8-9 players, the core, the spine of the team, like define that club or this team for many years, starting from Eddie and finish for all the names that we had left. So we need some time, you know that, and all the success they had, it was because the players were unbelievable, and we want to continue.
He scored 11 goals in 6 matches in all competitions when you're bringing in Norway into this, and I know in that 11-1 game he scored 5, but it's still been a very impressive start for him. Is he better than ever, Danny?
I mean, he looks physically brilliant. Most of us watched the game, and he's been the best striker in the world for a good few years now, because the job as a striker is to score goals, and his goal scoring is ridiculous. The icing on the cake is when you get the other bits, which we saw yesterday, which is some link-up, some hold-up, defensive headers in the box, all the things. And when he's like that, and he's on top of his physique, the fitness side of his game, he just looks unstoppable and unplayable. Irrelevant who City have got fit, and they've always got talented players who'll feed him the ball. And if he's got space, it's a difficult one to try and stop him. The only way you really stop him is at source, by stopping the supply. But he is as good, physically as good as I've seen him in a long, well, if not ever. And if he stays fit, he makes, even though City aren't, I don't think, that great defensively compared to seasons gone by, he gives them a chance because he's the best at what he does. And I enjoyed watching him play. And the one thing as well, when you're really fit and you're not worried about the physical aspect of your game, is you can just concentrate on the other stuff. And I don't know if you saw the first 30 seconds of the game. The ball went back and they went long. And he stood up against the lick and just went bosh, knocked him out of the way, and then knocked it on. Then they had that chance where he put it back to post 10 seconds later. And, when you just see something, oh, he means business. And some people think when you see a player doing that, it's like, oh, because they're playing against a certain opposition, or, he's had a kick up the backside in the week or whatever. It's normally because physically they feel great. Yeah. So then they can just go and enjoy their football. Yeah. A lot of times you see players who aren't quite at it. It's because they're managing themselves a little bit, because they're carrying something, or they're, a bit low on confidence. But generally with him, I always thought Lukaku was a brilliant example of a striker who was so good when he was physically right, compared to when he wasn't, and you could see it. Yeah. There was more of a lethargy about him. You see it with Haaland sometimes, because he plays so many games, or he has done in recent seasons. Yeah. Where you're thinking, why is he not running about more? Where? And I don't think it's a lazy or a mentality thing. I think just when you're that big. And I remember seeing Lukaku play a couple of times, watching him, thinking, he's unplayable. Yeah. And then other times you watch him and you don't see him. But I think if you're that size, the physical element is much more important to you than it would be to a smaller guy who's just not as reliant on that. Because Haaland's so reliant on it.
In terms of, I'm sort of hesitant to say title race because it's so early in the season, but when you're talking about the contenders, obviously Man City would always be up there, but they've had a couple of defeats already this season. That performance yesterday, I mean, should we be judging how good they are on that, or do we have to obviously take into account the second half of Man United falling apart, and maybe we shouldn't get too excited for it?
I more judge City on what they've shown us so far during the domination of the Premier League title race, because what they've shown us is that they can take the lead and basically leave everyone choking in their dust, or they can lie up in behind, maybe stutter a little bit in the first
few months.
Yeah, first few months, but then really find their stride towards Christmas, and then they will overtake whoever's in the lead and put together a run of 25 games. They're the teams that you cannot write them off out of title races or make any snap judgments about in August. You can't.
The only thing I'd say is in the 3 games other than the Wolves one, so Tottenham at home, Manchester United and Brighton away, it was surprising to see their vulnerabilities and them opened up so often. Now, for 60 minutes against Brighton, it was men against boys. They were so far better.
But Dan, do you think that you've been a midfielder, you know how difficult it would be to come back from injury? Rodri is imperious when he is 100%, but he's not the same at the moment. And I think that is a key reason why they've stuttered so far. It might be that he finds it as the season goes on. He needs those minutes, but that's a key reason why they haven't started.
I think also as well the constant change of the back players.
Yeah,
you build relationships. Liverpool, it tended to be whether if you think of the 4 years where they were winning it every year, Walker, Kanji, Diaz, maybe Stones, the 3 of them would mix it up, and then you'd have Aki had a season at left back or whoever it was. Now, you just don't know who's going to be in the back four. And they've got a couple of young players they've brought in the back line. They've had a Riley playing at left back.
Riley played left back, Kusanov right back.
Rika Lewis played there as a midfielder by trade. So I think the only little thing with City that I see is, in the games I've seen so far rather than years gone by, is that their controlling games diminishes quite quickly. They get even in that first half hour in the derby, the amount of time United won the ball back in their half by sloppy City play, and then they were on them with a bit more care. They could have scored, and all of a sudden the dynamic changed in the stadium, and you very rarely see City give up chances the way they've been doing. Because Brighton, when they made the 4 subs against City, you think, desperation. It turned the game on its head, and all of a sudden City went for the win themselves at 1-1, but they left themselves so vulnerable. And in years gone by, you wouldn't see that. So they will be there with the quality they've got. They'll be in the top. I just don't think defensively they've got what Liverpool and Arsenal have got.
No, I'd agree with that. Just a word on Haaland. I think that Haaland doesn't or hasn't had the credit he deserved because he set such a high bar for himself in that first treble-winning season. 52 goals, smashed all sorts of records, and So everyone was expecting him to score hat-tricks, and if he's only scored one in a game, people would say, what's wrong with Haaland? Or if he only had a few touches and scored two, people say, oh, he doesn't really contribute much. If you shut him out of the game, he's not that great. And I think he was a victim of his own success in many respects, but he was also the beneficiary of not having too much summer football, because he's been able to go away, rest, recover. He's had, Guardiola's superb at looking after big talents like all his players, and I think he's come back and he's ready, and he's like you say, he's fresh, and but there's nothing different about his attributes. There's nothing different about his ability to smell an opportunity. His movement in the box is just exactly for someone so big. He is so quick.
Times last season he looked a little bit, like I talked about before, just a little bit cumbersome, a little bit, still a threat, I'm talking details, but small percentages. But yesterday, watching him, I mean, dropping in, like holding the ball up, running in behind, like you can't just. If he looks like that for the rest of, or plays like that, and stays at that fitness level, and he's going to be top goal scorer by quite a country.
He is not that good a player, because if he doesn't get the ball, he doesn't offer you anything else. And they talk about people like Isak, who he's in behind it, he links play, whatever. But I think yesterday, a bigger toolbox. I think that we saw a bit of that, a bit more of him.
We did, yeah.
Against United. And I think we saw that kind of thing at his former club as well. But he's gone to City, where there are so many players who can do that kind of thing, that he doesn't have to go and drop in behind. They just need him in the 18-yard box, because when it comes to finishing off opportunities, there's no one better.
A bit like when Brendan Rodgers was at Leicester and told Jamie Vardy to just stay in the box, basically, as much as he could. That's what he wanted from him. You are tuning into Kick-Off here on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. Next, we're going to look back at today's big news. That is Chris Wilder is back as the Sheffield United manager. very good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining in to talkSPORT. This is Kickoff with Danny Murphy, Darren Lewis and me, Natalie Sawyer. And we're going to just park the Premier League for one moment and talk the Championship, because there's a little bit of deja vu at Bramall Lane. So certain Chris Wilder is back in charge. This after Ruben Sellers even was sacked after, just 6 games in charge, and they find themselves bottom of the Championship. Remember, Wilder was sacked in June, so not long after his sacking, he is now back. And I'm sure he's very much pumped and looking forward to returning to the club that he has supported, obviously, since a young age. But it just feels a little bit odd that we're talking about him returning, Darren, after such little time.
It does, and I think actually it doesn't reflect particularly well on the people who run the club, really, because if you empower somebody to lead your club, having sacked his predecessor, and then you sack him to bring the predecessor back, then who's the problem? The decision makers. Because A, they shouldn't have sacked you in the first place, and B,
he's in a great position.
He is, absolutely.
From a negotiation point of view. Joe, it reminds me a little bit. I think he's a good manager, and he loves the club, and actually he must have been devastated not to go up with the season they had when Leeds and Burnley got record points, and he had to, and then they lost in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But he knows what he's doing, and the players respect him, and the fans respect him, and it's a bit like, I don't know, a long-term girlfriend that you split up from, and you go and date someone else for a little while, and you think, I need to get back to the comfort zone. I know it works for me. There's a few little problems, but it's safe.
They've got a few issues with me, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's like a big warm blanket, isn't it? And that's
This is turning into a very different show.
No, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's a good comparison in that Chris Wilder, they know what they're getting. It's like, it's safe.
Yeah.
He's got that wonderful love for the club and the town. Is it Sheffield Town? Yeah. The fans know that he's got that passion for the club, and he's got the best interest at heart of the club.
But he's also got the ability as well.
Of course he has,
He's
got the leadership, and he's had success there. So I think the only strange thing from my point of view is that he's willing to go back after being treated the way he was.
Would you go back?
By the way, it is a city. By the way, just to confirm.
It's ching-ching.
They're not listening, you know.
No?
Oh, sorry, Natalie.
No, I'm just saying it is a city, just in case.
Is it?
Yeah. I've just told him my ear it's a city.
Oh, there must be a cathedral there then. I've never been to Sheffield Cathedral, have you? Is that right? Is it a city? If
That's what I've been. Yes, I'm being told. I'm being told it's a city.
It is.
Yeah.
I think.
Why aren't they called Sheffield City then? Come on, make it easy for us uneducated footballers, for God's sake.
Stop it. Which team is going to change their name for that? I don't think they want to. Anyway, getting back onto what. Go on. What were you saying? Sorry. But should we? In some ways, I know what you're saying about the owners and the board, whoever, the decision makers, and it doesn't look great on them. But equally at the same time, can we not turn around and go, actually, they've held their hands up and gone, we've got this wrong.
Hold on, let's go back a second.
What, to the city?
Yeah, because he agreed with me.
He did, didn't he? You went,
and this is an educated, articulate journalist.
I wasn't even focusing on whether it was a town or a city.
I said, is it a town? He went, yeah.
And then
he was just trying to help me, but it's like, this is the brains in the room, people.
I did
just
hear
carry on.
I did hear that.
Listen, I think moving swiftly on.
I wonder people don't believe what's in the paper.
No, I think as far as he is concerned, he's still going on about it.
Steel City, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right, the
Should've
Steel
known
City
that.
Derby.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just say yes to everything he says. I think as far as Chris Wilder's concerned, it does, like I said before, he would have felt really aggrieved at losing his job, having made such a valiant attempt to take the club into the Premier League, having done everything right, and just being really unfortunate that those two clubs are exceptional. Burnley's defensive record was outstanding. And who's the other team? We mentioned them a second ago. Yeah, Leeds. Yeah, exactly. They were going.
The only thing I don't know, and you might know more, but I don't remember, was he actually sacked, or was there?
Yes.
Was it one of the mutual consent?
No,
ones?
he was sacked. Yeah.
Well, then, yeah, it just shows you his love for the club, where he can put that to bed.
I'm frightened to say yes now to anything.
To be fair, I'm a bit like, was he sacked? Was he sacked?
No, if he was, then it shows he's got the ability not to hold a grudge. Or
Yeah.
I think his contract was coming to an end, but I think everyone still believes he was sacked rather than, he left before it ended as such. And they chose Ruben Sellers because there was a talk of it being more data-driven. AI was a massive influence, supposedly, at Sheffield United as well. Again, this is kind of showing that's maybe not worked with Ruben Selles taking over and not getting the results that they would have wanted.
I know
certainly.
administrators like to kind of stay out of the limelight, but this might be one occasion where I'd like to hear the thinking behind why he was sacked, why Selles was appointed, and why Wilder has gone back. I think the fans deserve to know that, because I know he's got a great affinity with a great relationship with them, and they love him too, and they will accept him back with open arms.
Good friend of talkSPORT, Tony Cascarino, good friend of mine. I was chatting to him before. He has had some discussions with those in the know, shall I say, and the appeal of working with the players that he already knows was obviously massive for Wilder to return. And I know they've lost a few, like every club tends to do in the summer. There's the new additions he's really excited about. But the fact that you've got people like Gus Harmer, Tyrese Campbell, who they were on the bench for that 5-0 defeat to Ipswich on Friday.
Yeah.
These were key players last season. I mean, Harmer was player of the season in the Championship.
But all of that, I can see
players.
why that would be an excitement for Wilder. But my point is, if you're Wilder, how do you trust that they won't do that again? Because he did an honest job for
what you would do is you'd put some stipulations in the contract to compensate you financially.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Yeah.
You'd have to, because I think, I don't see that he did anything wrong and ended up losing his job. And I remember being really shocked when he'd gone.
I think most people were.
Yeah.
Because they were so unlucky. Because if you remember, even in that playoff final, I'm sure Sunderland fans would admit the same. They were behind. It was all Sheffield United, and then they scored a very, very late goal to seal the victory. That was the difference between the two. But he takes over, as we say, a Sheffield United side that are bottom. If you remember last season, they also had a 2-point deduction.
Yes.
So technically, I know they finished with 90, but it was 92, 2-point deduction. He's 13 points off top spot, so bigger margin to make up, but it's so early in the season, and we know what the Championship is like. Teams can charge
41 games to go, if I'm not mistaken. This is ridiculous.
That's maths.
Let's not do maths.
Yeah, I never like.
We've got the geography part of the show wrong. Let's not go on some
I've
maths.
famously always gone yes, and then messages come through like, I think you'll find that's this, and I'm totally wrong. I did have to do my maths GCSE again, and I still got a D. So
that's a pass, though, isn't it? No.
No,
it's
You
not.
need a C. Yeah.
You've done all right since.
I did all right.
Thankfully, I don't need to use maths very often. And if I do, I have my trusty calculator. So, yeah. But interesting to see that he's back, and I'm sure he'll be really excited to get back in that dugout as well. Okay. Lots still to come on the show. You are tuning in to kick off here on talkSPORT. On the way next, we're going to be speaking to our boxing host and pundit, Adam Catterall, following the sad news of the passing of Ricky Hatton.
knows there are 20 managers in the Premier League, yeah? Well, actually, no. Around 3/4 of them are not managers. The terms manager and head coach are often used interchangeably to describe Premier League bosses, but they're actually two different jobs. So let's explain how and why. For years, fans referred to Mikel Arteta as Arsenal's manager, but I'm afraid technically...
I don't think so, no.
From his first day on the job, he was the Gunners' head coach. Let's pick a random moment in time, February 2025. Only 6 Premier League bosses actually held the official title of manager rather than head coach. Man City's Pep Guardiola, David Moyes of Everton, Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna, Southampton's Ivan Juric, Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace and Leicester's Ruud van Nistelrooy were the only actual managers of their respective teams. Everyone else? That's right, head coach, including Ruben Amorim at Man United. He took over from Erik ten Hag, a man who had held the title of manager. Might come as a surprise that Amorim's appointment marked the first time ever that Man United had a head coach instead of a manager. But to understand why they made that decision, you also have to get what the difference is between a head coach and a manager. A manager's got a huge range of responsibilities. They're not just in charge of training and player lineups, they're also heavily involved in player sales and transfers. Critical stuff. But a head coach's role is far more focused on team training and performance on the pitch. So whereas Ten Hag was highly involved with decisions around transfers during his tenure, the intention was that Amorim wouldn't be, at least not on the same level. And as the sporting structure at Man United changed under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, people like Sir Dave Brailsford took charge of transfers instead. How all those roles play out in practice may be slightly different at different clubs though. On the other hand, the contracts of actual managers like Pep or Moyes had no limits on their job role and their involvement with transfers and contracts. But those guys are actually in the minority now, and it's a change that's happened pretty quickly. In 2019, there were only 6 head coaches in the Premier League, but by 2025, there were 14. A clear indication that more and more clubs are moving towards a model where the guy in charge is actually only really in charge on the pitch. And the way things are going, it might not be long before all 20 clubs have got head coaches, and the job position of football manager in the top flight is no more.
Good evening and welcome along to Kick-Off here on talkSPORT. I'm Natalie Sawyer and with me this Monday evening it is Darren Lewis and Danny Murphy. Now, the world of boxing, indeed the world of sport, was stunned by the news yesterday that former world champion Ricky Hatton has passed away at the age of 46. And as we saw before the Manchester Derby got underway, they held a minute's appreciation, but that minute lasted way longer than that, with fans of both clubs just wanting to show their support for a man who unified certainly that city. Joining us to reflect more on this sad news is talkSPORT boxing host Adam Cattrall. Adam, good evening to you. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Natalie. How are you?
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
Well, thank you for joining us. Obviously, it's never nice to come on under these circumstances, but I'm sure you'd love to sort of pay your own tribute and tell us about the Ricky Hatton you knew.
No, absolutely. And like you said, it's never pleasant to come on when news like this drops, especially off the back of a fantastic weekend. I was in Las Vegas for talkSPORT for Canelo versus Crawford, and obviously Terence Crawford did a wonderful job there. And in the early hours of Sunday morning, as I was talking to fight fans from the UK, sat in a bar as you do when a big fight in Vegas has just happened. Done it many times when Ricky's been there. That news came through and knocked the wind out of everybody's sails and really did deflate the night. And it just didn't seem real for such a, it still doesn't seem real now, you know, like you've just mentioned there, he's 46 years of age, and this is a man that I started following as a fan. I was lucky enough in my professional career to interview him on several occasions, and as time has progressed and relationships have built, I've been lucky enough to have a bevy with him in a social environment, and he was exactly what you imagine him to be. Every single boxing fan has a Ricky Hatton story in some way, shape or form, and the reason for that is because he was real, he was accessible, he was one of us, a true man of the people. And when people talk about people's champions, that's exactly what Ricky Hatton was. He didn't just win belts, he won hearts, and he's going to leave a massive, massive hole in the boxing community.
You talk about Vegas. Obviously, he had that incredible fight there where thousands and thousands of British fans went out to see him, unfortunately lose. But still, what an incredible kind of, I suppose, when you think about, as I say, the thousands that went out there, it just goes to show the love that they had for him, that they were all prepared to travel so far.
Well, I think you touched upon it in your opening gambit there, Natalie, right? He was a staunch Manchester City fan, and that would normally divide. He had this unique ability to be able to unite Manchester United fans, Manchester City fans, Liverpool fans, all travelling worldwide to go on these fantastic trips to watch Ricky Hatton do his thing. I remember the first time I saw him, I actually missed his first fight because he was on the undercard of Prince Naseem Hamed, who I was a massive fan of. And Ricky was on the undercard there, and he stopped a guy within 1 minute, 30 seconds of the first round. And I was with my dad. I was only 17 years of age, and we were actually on the concourse getting some refreshments, let's just say, at that time. So I missed him. And it was a little bit later on that I got to see him really grow from those local shows like at Bowlers and Oldham Leisure Centre to being the headline act at the MEN. And it was really unique. Frank Warren did a wonderful job with the promotion of Ricky. And Ricky did this himself, of course, with just the way that he was as a person. He defended that WBU belt on several occasions in front of his Manchester fans, both Manchester City fans, Manchester United fans, Liverpool fans, whoever they were. And that's what it was. He created this football environment in boxing, and it was a night out. It became an occasion. I remember on one occasion, my friend's girlfriend at the time was looking for something to do for her 21st or 22nd birthday, and I suggested, why don't we all go to the fight? Why don't we all go and watch Ricky Hatton? Let's get a box between us all. And everybody jumped in, boys, girls, old ones, young ones, doesn't matter. Everybody wanted to be on that Ricky Hatton train. And you've just pointed out the Vegas stuff. The way that it built in Manchester was incredible, from 1,000 people to 5,000 people to 10 to 20. And then when we went to Las Vegas for the Floyd Mayweather thing, I couldn't get a ticket. That's how much it had grown. I couldn't get a ticket. I watched it in one of the bars in Las Vegas, and they were packed because everybody just wanted to be around it. I was lucky enough to go to the Pacquiao one. I said lucky enough because obviously it wasn't a good night that for Ricky, but that will never be recreated. If there was ever a signature song that was so apt, it is the one that the fans sing when Ricky's in town. There's only one Ricky Hatton. There really was only one Ricky Hatton. Nobody's ever going to be able to do what Ricky Hatton did, uniting that fan base and taking that amount of fans across to Las Vegas and various places in America to fight in those backyards. It was just truly a remarkable time to be around.
There was a prevalent moment I read. I don't know if you saw the post that Darren Barker put out earlier, Adam, he was asking Ricky about how he would like to be remembered. And he talked about just being mentioned in the same breath as some of his heroes was one thing. But one thing that stuck with me was when he said he was doing a little tour with Frank Bruno, going around shows and stuff and speaking, and everyone kept referring to him as our Ricky. And he said that was special to him because he felt like he was one of them. Everyone felt like he was their friend.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just sums it up. And because I've experienced that with, just quick story for me, I was early 20s in Manchester with a couple of friends of mine, and we bumped into him and some of his friends in a bar, and we ended up spending the whole night going around to different bars together, having a dance and a few bevies, as you do. And we ended up in a place, I think it was called the Press Club back then, years ago in Manchester.
Yeah.
And he was talking to me about, because I was asking him about boxing, so we'd had a skinful. And he was telling me how effective the body shots were, right? And I was like, do me a favour, because he's not the biggest lad in the world, is he? No. Anyway, from nowhere, just because this is the type of humour, he hit me with a body shot. And all I remember was looking up at the roof from, it was a carpet I think they had in the press club back then, and I was just couldn't move on the floor looking up to the roof in this press club, and he was standing over me laughing his head off with his mate, because he obviously, I was at Liverpool then and he was Man City, but he was just such good fun.
Yeah.
So warm.
I've no doubt, Danny, that he told you that it was your round next as well after doing that to you. But that was him. You've nailed it. That was it. He had such an unbelievable, wicked sense of humour. You just talked about the after-dinner speaking and the tours that he went on with other fighters. He could have done stand-up, Ricky Hatton. He was that funny. His timing with just the way that he was with people, he was so accessible. And although, listen, I know that doubt that he came across you, Danny, from obviously playing at Liverpool and that familiar face. Didn't matter what level of person you were in society, what job you did or anything like that. Ricky Hatton had time for everybody, and that is why 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people were prepared to put their hand in the pocket and travel halfway across the world to watch him fight.
It was also the reason why my newspaper, I know the Sun downstairs also had 8 pages, and their front page, our front page was R.I.P. Ricky, really did devote a huge amount of the column inches to someone who was very popular right across the piece. A couple of questions. One is the celebrity. I mean, I was looking at some of the tributes that were paid to him, and there were people outside boxing and outside of sport as well. Soap stars, his Dancing on Ice partner, you know, lots of different people. I just wondered if you could talk about the impact that he had outside of sport, because I see him as a sporting icon, but he did have that impact. And the other thing is there, you're the man in the know in terms of boxing, Adam, is there some sort of tribute being organised to pay to him?
Well, it's really funny you just said that, Darren, because I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine today of what needs to be done in order to really pay homage to Ricky. I mentioned a moment or two ago, he built himself at the MEN Arena. It's no longer called the MEN Arena, it's under different sponsorship, but the arena's there. And I know that we've got a bigger arena now next to the City Ground, which Ricky didn't fight in. I think we need a statue, man. That man, what he did for the city of Manchester was incredible. He brought everybody together. He made everybody feel good. And I've said this many, many times in talking about it over the last 24 hours. People forget what you said. They forget what you did, but they never forget how you made them feel. And Ricky Hatton made you feel a certain way, whether you met him in a bar, whether you were stood in the bleachers watching him fight. That night against Kostya Tszyu was just something that I will never, ever forget as a fight fan. And I hope, whether it's the boxing community, whether it's the Manchester Council or something like that, they've got to build a statue for Ricky Hatton.
There's a talkSPORT campaign right there, isn't there?
There you go.
I think
it's got to be erected outside the MEN, without any doubt.
I mean, his humility in the interviews we see a lot of now, his past is there for all to see. But I still think, I don't know, maybe it's depending on what age you brought up, but when you talk about the best English boxers, I don't necessarily mean even from a technical point of view or whatever, but I think he jumped to the first place in most people's minds, well, certainly people of my age, because of that journey you're talking about and that way he had the way of captivating people. I mean, obviously, Adam know more than I in terms of he was the best boxer if you go back years and years. But I think a lot of people, would be fair to call him, if not the best one of we've ever had.
With the affection that people have for him. Yeah.
I think you nailed it there, Natalie. Most loved, definitely. I mean, I always refer to 3 fighters when people ask about me getting involved in this sport. And my dad was a massive Mike Tyson fan. So in the late 80s, Mike Tyson captured my imagination. Prince Nazim Hamed made me fall in love with the game. And Ricky Hatton was the fighter that made me spend my hard-earned cash to go to the events because of what he did, you know? And it was just an incredible experience to be around and watch his career rise to the big night against Kostya Tszyu, but then obviously the 2 that he had over in Las Vegas with Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. And the more I think about these moments, obviously you smile because they happened, and it's very hard to be sad now that you know that he's no longer with us. But I just wish that he could have been here to listen to all these tributes that people are paying to him, you know, because he has... Listen, massively. I've been lucky enough to interview him on several occasions, and he was very open speaking about his challenges in life since his career. If he could sit here now and listen to all these people pouring out how much love they've got for him, it would just be unbelievable.
Just sort of briefly on that then, is this a wake-up call that boxing, or indeed sport in general, needs to do more to help these sports people when they've come to the end of their careers?
I think sport in general,
Yeah.
you know, it's a very difficult thing. And listen, Danny, you've been there, you've been a sports star, and recreating the highs of being on that pitch, recreating the highs of being in that ring once the time is done, is a very, very difficult thing to do. The amount of guys that I speak to, and girls, that struggle when their careers come to an end. I think Ricky, in being very vocal, open, honest, vulnerable with the way that he's spoken about those challenges since his career did come to an end, will absolutely have helped a lot of people down the line. It's just a sad state that we now find ourselves talking about a man that's no longer with us, who was 46 years of age.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Adam, we really do appreciate you sparing the time to speak to us about it. And as you say, you were in Vegas when the news broke. We should just quickly ask you about that occasion in Vegas with Crawford beating Alvarez.
Oh, it was a fight for the ages. We had two guys there that are in the top 10, pound for pound. Terence Crawford coming up in weight and doing what he did in that fight against the poster boy of boxing, definitely Mexican boxing, in Las Vegas on a Mexican holiday weekend is something that will live with me for a very, very long time. It was a masterclass performance, and we've crowned, in my opinion, a new pound for pound number one. There'll be people that argue with me and maybe bring up the name Alexander Usyk, and listen, you're well within your rights to bring it up because he's a super talent himself. But what Terence Crawford did at the weekend was incredible.
Yeah, superb. Adam, thank you.
Cheers, Adam.
Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Cheers.
Just a reminder that DAZN brings you over 185 fights a year and an undisputed schedule featuring stars like Dave Allen, Joshua Buatsi, Darren Ennis, Nathaniel Collins and more. So sign up now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at DAZN.com/boxing.
OK, you're tuning in to kick off here on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. On the way next, there's a new term being coined, Arnie time. Good evening. This is talkSPORT. This is Kickoff this Monday evening with Danny Murphy, Darren Lewis and me, Natalie Sawyer. And it's only right that we talk about who's leading the way at the moment in the Premier League, Liverpool, who have won 4 out of 4. But my goodness, they left it late to beat Burnley. I think we have to have an element of, for Burnley, because it was there were minutes away from becoming the first side to take points off Liverpool this season, only for a penalty to be awarded late on, and a penny for Hannibal's thoughts this evening. I can't imagine what that dressing room would have felt like. But what's interesting, obviously, there's been a lot of late goals for Liverpool this season, which is obviously clearly showing down this is a team that, it's the cliche, but playing to the final whistle. But not only that, they're not actually playing brilliantly. No. But they're still getting the job done.
And this is the reason why I think it's going to be a big season for them, because it's a new team. He ripped up the old team that won the Premier League, and he now has rebuilt that side. And they've gone to Burnley, which I think other teams will find is an incredibly difficult place to go. 25 games undefeated previous to Sunday. And they were well organised. They were compact. We've been talking about compact. Scott Parker's done a superb job getting those players to buy into his ethos and maintaining that discipline there. And Liverpool really, there's an argument of saying they'd run out of ideas. But then the flip side is good sides find a way to win, even if it is with a bit of luck. And that's what they were able to enjoy.
Well, they got the penalty through constant pressure. The tactical approach from Scotty Parker and Burnley was understandable. You're playing against last year's champions who've got all this talent. Now, there's always a little bit of, I think, not to overanalyze the big teams after international duty, because all those players coming back from all over the place, they're always a little bit stodgy, the games. But I agree, Liverpool weren't cohesive in the final third. There was a lot of poor decision making, and there's some relationships that need time to build. But Burnley basically condensed the middle of the pitch and let Liverpool go wide, and it became a game of crosses. And Liverpool, I think Slot deserves great credit, and I touched on it last night at BBC Match Today, and he obviously had a word second half about getting more men in the box and getting more intensity with the runs, because the back three of Burnley was so comfortable in the first half with the crosses being looped in there and hit in there, because Liverpool didn't have many numbers in there. And even when they did have a few in there, the quality might not have been right or whatever it was. But second half, Conor Bradley come on and he just kept flying in there. And he's a big lad anyway. Ekitike generally kept the more central position second half. I know he likes to drift away, which he was in the front. He kept the more central position. Then you had even Andy Robertson, who we brought on for Kirkes, flying into the box, getting headers at the back post and stuff. So there was and of course Burnley got more tired. And Liverpool just kept going for it and going for it, making the subs. Rio coming in, Engamora, I should say. Chiesa should have scored with the header past the post. So Liverpool found a way by dominance, by a bit of luck at the end, but also that bit of quality to keep testing.
Absolutely. I mean,
and it's
81% possession, 27 attempts on goal. I mean,
44 crossing.
The law of averages says that they were going to get some joy. What I would say about Burnley is it's the second week in a row, second match day in a row, that they've conceded within the shadow of the post, if you like. 97 minutes. Old Trafford. And they give away a penalty. And what this is going to do is just give them that education, if you like, that it is so unforgiving at this level. And it sounds patronising to say it, because these are good players, but it is unforgiving, right? And so what you've got to do is stay switched on, stay focused, have that restraint, use your head.
It's a moment of madness, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've seen lots of players do this, and you just, what have I done?
But also the turning of the back, which Scott Parker afterwards sort of seemed to suggest it was all right that he did that. But I thought that was basic. You're not supposed to do that.
If you saw the images as soon as he did it, Scott Parker didn't look as though it was all right.
No, a bit more measured in his post.
He's done the right thing. I'll tell you what the one big plus was, I thought, for Liverpool. Apart from winning when you're not playing great, which is a great thing, I thought Gravenberch was back to his best. I when speaking to Slot the other week when I interviewed him for talkSPORT, you can sense when you're talking about players off camera and the way he spoke about him. He was like, "We're missing him. Can't wait to get him back," type thing. Not paraphrasing, but his performance was so good.
Just educate us a little bit with that, because I can sit and go, tell me what it was that you saw about his performance that because it would be easy for us to go with the more explosive players and the goal score, or even Van Dijk, but what was it about Gravenberch?
Well, what he does, which is unique in a midfield position, not many players do it or can do it, is he's got this wonderful ability to take the ball on a half turn but go past people with a initial burst and get Liverpool out, and he did it 3 or 4 times. Not many. I can't think of any of the midfielders who. Well, Moussa Dembele, the former Spurs guy who was at Fulham with me, was probably one of the best I ever saw at do it. There's only a couple of midfielders. I can't really think of many in Premier League right now who can do that. What he does. Occasionally Declan gets the ball and bursts past people, but Gravenberch does it in this silky kind of effortless, and he did a few moments of skill, and he looked like he was enjoying himself. He looked fit, and he was the best, Liverpool's best player, and I think he was instrumental in them dictating so much of the play, spreading the ball and all. And Liverpool got lots of good players, but I think that was the biggest plus because he missed the opening couple of games. And they've been rotating in that midfield. Curtis Jones was injured yesterday. McAllister missed a lot of pre-season. There's lots of reasons, I think, why they're not quite firing. New players, new relationships needed to be had. But that was the plot.
And just on top of all of that, I think if you look at the fact that Isak wasn't even in the side yet, everyone's been configuring how they're going to play, and they go and send out the same side as before. When you consider who isn't there, when you consider how much further they have to go, to have a 100% record, not concede in the last 2 games, beat Arsenal without conceding in the preceding game, that to me says that this is going to be a big season.
Everton at home next.
Oh, it's all ominous though, isn't it? Like you say, if they're not playing well and yet they're still winning, that's quite ominous for everybody else. Just one other point as well on the sort of credit for management on the slot, taking off Kirkes in that first half. Got the yellow card. I think the referee had a couple of words with him after that, which obviously
decisive.
It is.
Well, he did it. He showed it the opening day of the season last season. Liam Delap was giving Kwanzaa a hell of a bad time, struggling with him.
Took him off at half time.
Took him off and brought Canati on and changed
But the issue, of course, is you didn't want to go down to 10 of the possibility with Kirkes. Unfortunately, with Burnley, they did because Ugo Chukwu had been yellow carded in the first half and then got a yellow in the second. And Scott Parker obviously didn't see or have that. Oh, not that you would have the foresight that something could happen.
What is Natalie? It's the recognition of what type of player or mentality. So because Kirkes is so keen to do well, just made the move. He's a tenacious little player anyway. He's 100 miles an hour. So he's probably looking at him going, he could just lose himself. Whereas if Andy Robertson got a yellow after, I know Andy's had it red in the past, but just thinking of the experience, if he had a yellow after 20 minutes, you know he's not going to mess it up. He's generally clued up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I thought it was, and that's the advantage of having such a good squad.
Yeah.
It's why they kept Robertson. He's still a terrific player. It's a great option.
Would you rather have Liverpool's front four, should we say, or Arsenal's back four?
I'd rather have, because Liverpool's backline's so good anyway, or arguably second best in the Prem. Maybe it was the best last season, but certainly second best.
No, Arsenal's were the best last season.
Yeah, but no, I wouldn't swap. I'd keep what Liverpool have got.
Yeah?
Yeah, Arsenal don't have a Salah.
We've got an Isak to introduce as well.
Arsenal don't have a Salah. They've got a good player. I mean, Saka's terrific.
Yeah, I was going to say, Saka's not bad.
Madueke's not done too bad either.
Nobody's got Salah.
I know, I'm just...
And also, if anybody's got take your Arsenal out half, if you were to choose Gyökeres or Isak, 95% of choosing Isak.
Okay, there you go. You were right. The Merseyside derby is coming up next. It's a 12:30 kickoff, by the way, and it's live on talkSPORT on Saturday. So you can tune in to Reshbin Chowdhury, Sam Matterface, and former Liverpool midfielder and Everton coach Charlie Adam involved in that one. Next, we're taking a look at Ange Postecoglou's first game in charge of Nottingham Forest as they were comfortably beaten by Arsenal 3-0 at the Emirates. Good evening, this is Kickoff on talkSPORT, and it's a pleasure to have your company this Monday evening. And it is Darren Lewis, Danny Murphy and me, Natalie Sawyer, with you until 10. Don't forget, the Champions League is back this week, and we'll have a whole host of games live on the talkSPORT network. Do not miss any of that. And also, don't miss talkSPORT Breakfast tomorrow morning with Jeff Stelling and Ray Parlour. The guys will be joined by a number even of top guests, including former Liverpool and England striker Emil Heskey, the TV presenter and comedian Paddy McGuinness, and many, many more as well. That is the talkSPORT Breakfast show tomorrow morning from 6. Right, let's look at what happened in the 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, which saw Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest by 3-0. Martin Zubimendi, for the first time in his career, scored a double, and there was also a goal for Victor Gyökeres as well, just after the break, which gave Arsenal a great start in that second half. I think before we talk about Arsenal, we should talk about Ange Postecoglou. And let's just actually hear from him, because having previously intimated that he'll gradually implement his style, the new Forest boss said it's just a matter of urgency.
It won't be months, it won't be weeks, it'll be Wednesday. You know, I can't afford to waste time. This is not a project. This football club had a strong season last year. It needs to be stronger this year. My job is to get us to where I want us as quickly as possible. So, you know, by Wednesday night we start seeing, some real principles being embedded. It won't take long, and I'm not going to let it take long. I'll make sure that we turn it around, because we've got an unbelievable opportunity this year to make an impact, and I'm not going to let that slip.
When he's talking about Wednesday, that is their way to Swansea in the League Cup. So Alan Sheehan's team will have to look out for that one. Did we see any tweaks with Forest in the sense of Ange Postecoglou in the style, Danny, that we saw at Tottenham? Did we see anything?
Not really. I mean, I think they pretty much, he'd only been in the door 5 minutes, so they probably went similar, something at the lineup, although they had to change. Anya was out, wasn't he? So Williams went to right back, and they put, can't think, Morata, was it, left back, or somebody, whoever it was. So I didn't see too much in the fact that they were put on the back foot so early by Arsenal's dominance that it was hard to see that he had a chance to do too much. But I quite like his interview there. I quite like the fact he's not hiding behind, I need a bit of time, and
he's always been a bit bullish.
Yeah, but I like that. And he's got a good squad. I mean, he's got good competition for places in Forest now. I mean, you've got to be realistic if you're a Forest fan in terms of expectation. Last season was phenomenal. So maybe not to do... I mean, he said there we want to do better. And maybe in terms of winning something, yeah. But in terms of a general consistent season, they'll be doing well to beat what they did last year, because that was just tremendous. But he's got a really good squad of players. And I think he's right, actually. I think that there is certain things you can do to a team to change them quite quickly and be more...
Can you change it that quickly?
It's easier from a creative than a destructive, because you can let players be freer. Problem is with that, of course, is Forest's strength last year was being really well organised, and then you can become in disarray. So it's a fine one, but it's easier to give players freedom than to get them to be disciplined. Well, Forest players were already disciplined, so he might be, he might be all right. There might be a smoother transition than people think. I think people are ready to jump on him.
Yeah. I think he'll do far better at Forest than he did at Spurs, and that's saying something given they won a trophy.
Yeah.
But I just feel
in
terms of Premier League, I think he's got a much better defensive base to work with.
Yeah.
I love every one of those back five, if you like. Sells, I think, is a superior keeper to Vicario, Murillo, and the other centre half who's Milenkovic. Thank you very much. As a pairing, they're really terrific. Good, yeah. Douglas Luiz was on the bench, the midfielder, who I like. He knows where the goal is. He's a really strong presence in the middle of the park. And his situation is very similar he reminds me a lot of Joao Palhinha, who Spurs managed to get from, was it Bayern Munich, where he was at, because he wasn't getting a game. And what a player to bring into your midfield if that's the case. And he's come back, Douglas Luiz, from Italy as well. And I imagine he will be alongside Morgan Gibbs-White in the middle of the park. And what a pairing they're going to be. And I think in wide areas, I can see them
It'll probably leave Gibbs-White more as a 10. Because Elliot Anderson been
of course, yes.
Great
there is that option as well, that triumvirate in the middle of the park. And this is what I mean about the options that are available to him compared to Spurs. That really was a work in progress. There's more of a capability to be able to put together some consistency in the Premier League at Forest because that squad of players. I'll just say one quick thing. I think we in English football struggle a little bit with managers who back themselves, who are having themselves, if you like. When Mourinho arrived and he said, I'm a special one, everyone was, oh, you don't say that. You're supposed to be humble, Why? I think a lot of people who are not having Marinakis because he goes and he puts his heart on his sleeve and he goes on the pitch and he says, why are we not winning this game? We've got a great chance of being in the Champions League. But I love that. I love that jeopardy that Postecoglou piles on himself when he says, yes, I do win things. And he's backed it up as well.
Yeah.
And so why should he not go to Forest and remind people, this is what I do? He basically, it's almost as if he thrives under that pressure of saying, I win things in my second season. I won things in my first season at Celtic, as he did say in that press conference. And the other reason why I think that he might do better than at Spurs is that the spotlight will be on him less at Forest.
Yeah,
he can build. He can, as they say, cook at Forest.
We'll have to see. I mean, it could go the other way, God forbid, for them. But we'll wait and see. I think it's for a neutral, for people who just love watching football. It's exciting.
Yeah,
I'm excited by it. But and as far as Arsenal are concerned, because we haven't really talked about
I was going to come on to them.
Really good, dominant performance, lots of quality. The greatest thing for Arsenal, the biggest difference, they've got loads of good players. They are great defensively, as you said. But when I was just made a list, so Odegaard being injured now, I don't think Arsenal fans are going, oh my God, Odegaard's injured. No one's really, Saka's out. When's he back? We're not hearing it as much because, when you think of Nwaneri, Madueke, Eza, Gyökeres, Havertz, you got Dauman, the kid coming through as a superstar, even Jesus to come back. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got 9 forward players to choose.
Well, I said this against Liverpool, actually. When Liverpool, in the Liverpool game, no Saka, no Havertz. Saliba goes off midway through the first half.
Odegaard started on the bench.
Odegaard was on the bench as well. And yet, I didn't see too many people moaning. Mosquera comes on instead of Saliba. Madueke has started his Arsenal career like a house on fire. I think in the midfield, they had the bodies, the legs, the capability to take the game. Okay, Liverpool were superior and it was a superb bit of skill. We talked about the free kick from Szoboszlai. But Arsenal will be there because it is a fantastic validation of Arteta's transfer business in the summer. That they have got a squad of players where you can make changes. Okay, there's some elite players like Zubimendi. I mean, he is a European Championship winning, a magnificent midfielder who would have...
There's no excuse for him now.
Oh, no excuse. No excuse. But I don't want to frame it like that. I want to just... I don't want to frame it like that.
Do you know what I actually think Arsenal's fans' view is that? I don't need...
Well, they have spent a lot of money.
Cheek as me being a Liverpool fan, but the reality is, I think Arsenal fans now say, look, he's been backed. We've got Gyökeres, a striker we've been craving. We've brought in someone who can help Saka out on the right, an England international. You've brought in Eze, who's better than what they've got.
Yeah.
Brilliant central midfielder they've brought in to replace Partey. And they've even gone and got 2 outstanding centre-halves to cover the 2.
But Danny, come on. I'm the media man here. I'm supposed to be the one putting the pressure on. You're the footballer. You know how this works. Only one team can win the league.
Yeah, but there is going to be a higher expectation now. I think that's absolutely
But if he doesn't win the league, are you really going to say,
he's got to win something,
the guy
right?
who has transformed this football club in terms of discipline, consistency, the way we're viewed off the pitch, all of the other things that go alongside having a team capable to compete for the title, are you really going to say he shouldn't still be the manager?
I hear you on that, and I've always been an advocate of not judging managers on trophies, more progression, depending on the club. But ultimately, Arsenal now, because of the fan base and the so close that they've got recently, I think the expectation is silverware, and if he fails, even unluckily, there'll be a clamour.
But that's the thing. There has been progression under Arteta because 100%. They are rivals now in the title race. They are, obviously the last couple of seasons they've been ever so close. He's really,
done a brilliant job.
There is that expectation.
This is my thing. I would defend him because I just think that it's so easy in football to say, let's get the closer. Let's get the guy who's just going to come and get us over the line. We don't care how we do it. We're doing it in England at the moment. We're not basically saying, let's get the person who is going to come in and succeed. I can't remember who was our previous manager. My brain's going crazy. Southgate, thank you. And build on what he's done. We want the closer. We want it now. It's our society at the moment.
It's as simple as this, really. If Arsenal reach the Champions League final, if they miss out on the title last day of the season and get to the final of the Champions League and lose, and the FA Cup final and lose, it's still an amazing season, I think, because they've just been so consistent to get to that.
Yeah.
If they come out of the Champions League again in the quarters, finish third in the title race, don't really push it to win it, then there's going to be questions, and that's just that's unfortunately the nature of the beast.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Thomas Tuchel, you mentioned him. He was at the G-Tech, by the way, on Saturday night.
Sat next to you.
Well, no, actually, he was in front of me.
Oh, was he? Did you keep doing that to get on camera?
No, I didn't. But I'm always looking to see who's in the boardroom area, and there was Tommy T sat there. So we're going to look back on that game at the G-Tech. This is, by the way, kick-off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, begambleaware.org. And we're going to discuss whether Enzo Maresca was right to disclose that João Pedro said that he didn't want to play. That's next. A very good evening to you. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT, and it is Danny Murphy, Darren Lewis and Natalie Sawyer with you until 10. Then you've got the Sports Bar with Jamie and Jason to look forward to, so don't forget to get your calls into them. 03717 223344. I'm sure they will continue the Manchester United discussion after their loss in the derby yesterday. But we're going to look back at another derby that took place over the weekend, and it was an 8 o'clock kickoff at the G-Tech Community Stadium where Brentford and Chelsea played out a 2-2 draw in the end. Brentford took the lead in the first half before plenty of substitutions were made by Enzo Maresca, brought on Cole Palmer, and he scored. Also, Moises Caicedo, another... I was going to say another sub, but I don't know if he was actually. No, he wasn't.
No, he started.
He started.
Suddenly realised. No, he didn't. He scored what looked like to be a late winner, but in fact, Fabio Carvalho, in 3 minutes of stoppage time, scored that equaliser for Brentford. But afterwards, it was interesting that Enzo Maresca was speaking about some of the issues he had pre-match, in the sense of some of his players indicating that they didn't really want to play in this game. Not because they didn't want to obviously contribute, but more for fitness reasons. And one of those was João Pedro. Now, obviously, João Pedro plays for Brazil, and in this international break, he's probably had to travel a long old distance and wouldn't have got back till, I presume, quite late as well into the week.
Thursday, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So can you understand, first of all, where João Pedro might be coming from if he's saying to his manager, I'm just not sure I'm quite right for this? And yet he played, I think, 79 minutes.
Well, we were just talking about it off air. And there's a small part of me that thinks, wow, that's ridiculously unselfish of him to think more about the team than himself. Because that's what it sounds like in some respects. The other part, I mean, my instinct goes to my playing days where somebody would ever say they're not okay to play. Because I was always brought up just to say, yeah. You know, even over the Christmas New Year when you play 4 in 9 days, wherever it was, and the manager would say, sure you're all right? And you go, yeah, fine. And you can't even walk or get out of bed. Because that's just the mentality of what you want your teammates to have. But the reality is, for someone like him, if he didn't feel like he could get about and he was genuinely fatigued or carrying a knock, there's a more open-minded version of myself that thinks, depending on the conversation, how the wording went, I don't know. But if it is a case of I'm not 100%, like I don't think it's best to play him. Fair play.
Yeah.
And then you put the manager in a position where he makes that choice. And it sounds like Maresca has said to him, I really want you to, I really need you. I get it, you're not quite yourself, but will you play? And he's gone, yeah, fine. Because I've had that, I've only ever had it once myself when I had a really bad shoulder and I was struggling for a game, and Houllier said to me, like, I want to need you to play, and do your best, and I'll take the flak for it if it doesn't go well. And I was like, fine, I'll give it a go. But generally, most players are the type to go, I'm fine, because they want to just play every game, which is a good thing.
I mean, obviously, Nicholas Jackson's gone out on loan, Liam Delap's injured, so you can kind of see also where Maresca's coming from, where he's saying, Darren, kind of need you.
Yeah, that's what he's done.
Yeah.
The fascinating thing for me as a media man is how that is kind of the message coming out from Maresca.
You mean why he said it?
Yeah, why would you say that? Why would you suggest, because...
Did he give it context? Because I haven't actually seen that. Did he talk more? I should have seen it, sorry, but I don't know whether he gave it
Well,
more.
we can play it, actually. Let's play. I think we've got a little snippet of it. Let's listen in.
We planned 45 minutes for West because it was a long time out. We planned not all the game for Jarrell because we said already many times, when you arrive from another country, you need time to adapt. Facundo joined us 2 weeks ago. Physicality also is not 100%, but we needed to manage different situations, like Estevao that was out. João Pedro also was not 100%, but he did the effort to play for part of the game. And as I said, probably second half we were much better.
Okay.
So that's probably a better context.
Well, he didn't actually say Pedro.
No, we missed the bit where he just said before the game, João Pedro told me that he was not 100% fit and had indicated it was better that he doesn't play. He went on to say...
That's enough.
Yeah.
That's actually...
That's more...
That's fair play
context.
Yeah. That's fair play.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a problem with that at all. And to be honest with you, I've got more of an issue with the defending, really, because they've got such a good side, Chelsea, but I just think that soft centre in that defence that allowed Brentford to come back is a little bit of a worry. I would have thought there'd be more of a protective shield. You know, you look at Enzo, you look at Caicedo, they're outstanding defensive midfielders. How do Brentford get that space to grab that late goal?
Well, we talked about it with United earlier. The reality was the goal was conceded because Garnacho switched off.
Yeah. He was on Carvalho, wasn't he?
You can have any formation, tactical, and do all the work in training on how you stop a team, or how you keep a lead. For long throw-ins coming in the box, nobody can switch off.
Yeah, but Garnacho doesn't play at left back, so how is...
That was his
even
man,
if he
though.
switches off...
Oh,
look at you.
That was his man, though.
This is the most animated you've been all night.
That was great movement from Carvalho, no?
Well, no, I'll answer it. It's because you ask me these questions, and I'm on here to try and give detail to things like that. So let's stay serious for a minute.
Staying serious, exactly.
If you've got a team last minute trying to equalise, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head, but let's say 8-9 players are in the box. They've all got to be picked up by someone.
Yeah.
So the 8-9 players in the box, maybe even 10, let's say there's 8 or 9 in there. You can't have big players on little players.
No, of course.
The ball's coming in. So all the big boys from Chelsea are on the big boys from Brentford.
Yeah.
Now, they don't win the first header, so someone's culpable there. And it ends up bouncing towards the back post. And Garnacho has been given the job of Carvalho, which is, I would say, is fair. Because he's little, forward, some forwards have to defend sometime. And he's just got ball watching. So for all Chelsea's good work, and the only other times really that Brentford caused them problems was quick turnovers, pacing behind. Because Chelsea was squeezing up, dominating play for a lot of it. And with Sharda's pace, I thought Thiago did all right as well.
Oh, he's getting better and better.
He's better and better. He gave him a...
Works hard. Really works.
Well, we said at the start of the show, Brentford absolutely gave as good as they got, and they were terrific, and they were intelligent in the way that they used the ball, and they were really... And also in a way that they managed to get in behind on so many occasions, and they were helped, obviously, by the quick distribution and the ability to smell opportunities as
they nearly got in a few times. I remember the one where Sharda was just about to outpace Chalobah, and Chalobah somehow with the lunge. Great tackle. And I actually think the more I see of Sharda, because he had his best season last season, didn't he?
Yes.
And his confidence is up. You can tell that season's done him the world of good, and he can play all across the front, but he looks like another one who could go.
Well, this is what Keith Andrews...
When I say go, I don't mean leave. Not yet.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, probably.
Well, Nat, as a Brentford fan, how worried do you get? Because obviously Brighton have turned it into a real seriously good business model to allow players to leave, but they can replenish the squad because they've got that conveyor belt coming in. Do you ever worry? We see with Southampton eventually... that quality isn't there and you go down. Do you, how much longer can you do it? And are you concerned about that?
Well, I'm not concerned about it because as it stands, we seem to find these gems once more. I mean, we hope that Igor Thiago will become the number 9 that we hoped he would be. And obviously he was meant to be the Ivan Toney replacement, but then was injured for most of last season, hence why we... and I just think he's getting better and better. And he's not used to the physicality of the Premier League. I mean, he's played in Bulgaria and I forget where we actually got him from. Was it... gosh, I can't remember now. No, I can't remember. That's terrible, isn't it? But I'm not worried about it because I just have faith in what we've done.
Isn't there, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but the reality is for Brentford fans, they're in 7th heaven. Yeah. I mean, I was early in my career, I was playing at Brentford home and away in the lower leagues, beating you in playoff league final.
I knew that was coming. I was at that one as well. Knew that was coming. Dastardly crew side.
Statham and Benty and all that.
I was
Bob
there,
Taylor.
Isn't it time for the news?
Yeah, I think
Big Bob Taylor up front.
Bob Taylor. Those were the days. Carlos Saba and everyone. By the way, I just quickly say before we hit the break, we talk about throw-ins where Brentford scored that goal. 29% of all Premier League goals from throw-ins since the start of last season have been scored by Brentford. It's a real weapon for Brentford. Okay, that is it for this hour. We will take a break, and when we return, we'll be looking back on what turned out to be another dismal defeat for West Ham at the hands of London rivals Tottenham.
Everyone knows there are 20 managers in the Premier League, yeah? Well, actually, no. Around 3/4 of them are not managers. The terms manager and head coach are often used interchangeably to describe Premier League bosses, but they're actually two different jobs. So let's explain how and why. For years, fans referred to Mikel Arteta as Arsenal's manager, but I'm afraid technically...
I don't think so, no.
From his first day on the job, he was the Gunners' head coach. Let's pick a random moment in time, February 2025. Only 6 Premier League bosses actually held the official title of manager rather than head coach. Man City's Pep Guardiola, David Moyes of Everton, Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna, Southampton's Ivan Juric, Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace and Leicester's Ruud van Nistelrooy were the only actual managers of their respective teams. Everyone else? That's right, head coach, including Ruben Amorim at Man United. He took over from Erik ten Hag, a man who had held the title of manager. Might come as a surprise that Amorim's appointment marked the first time ever that Man United had a head coach instead of a manager. But to understand why they made that decision, you also have to get what the difference is between a head coach and a manager. A manager's got a huge range of responsibilities. They're not just in charge of training and player lineups, they're also heavily involved in player sales and transfers. Critical stuff. But a head coach's role is far more focused on team training and performance on the pitch. So whereas Ten Hag was highly involved with decisions around transfers during his tenure, the intention was that Amorim wouldn't be, at least not on the same level. And as the sporting structure at Man United changed under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, people like Sir Dave Brailsford took charge of transfers instead. How all those roles play out in practice may be slightly different at different clubs though. On the other hand, the contracts of actual managers like Pep or Moyes had no limits on their job role and their involvement with transfers and contracts. But those guys are actually in the minority now, and it's a change that's happened pretty quickly. In 2019, there were only 6 head coaches in the Premier League, but by 2025 there were 14. A clear indication that more and more clubs are moving towards a model where the guy in charge is actually only really in charge on the pitch. And the way things are going, it might not be long before all 20 clubs have got head coaches, and the job position of football manager in the top flight is no more.
Very good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining in to talkSPORT with Kickoff. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is Danny Murphy and Darren Lewis. So much for us to get through as we look back on an eventful weekend in the Premier League and also the return of the Champions League. That's to come in this hour. But we're going to start with another London derby, I should say, that took place over the weekend and on Saturday in the 5:30 kickoff. It's fair to say Spurs comfortably beat West Ham 3-0 at the London Stadium. Before we get your take on it, let's actually hear from Graham Potter, who afterwards said that he was taking the positives from the game.
Good attacks, good moments, and then there was positives for us in the first half, especially when you consider that's Cree's first game for a while. Mateus, his second game. I thought Malik contributed down the left really well. I think from a defensive perspective we were solid. Didn't give too many chances away. It was more pressure from set pieces and long throws, the balls in the box, which we dealt with well. And then the second half, obviously we make a mistake for the first goal and concede the goal. And then the red card, and pretty quickly the scoreline's gone away from us, and it makes for an uncomfortable second half, completely not like the first half.
OK, so that's what Graham Potter had to say, the West Ham boss, after that defeat. After beating Nottingham Forest, like they did before the international break, everyone was thinking, maybe it's not all so bad. I say everybody, maybe not everybody. But it's now 8 goals in 2 games at the London Stadium that they have conceded, Darren. And you were shaking your head when Graham Potter was talking about the defensive side of things and how he felt he was quite pleased with what they were doing in that game.
They were outclassed by Spurs on the night. Spurs' finishing was better. Their defensive organisation was better. There were fewer individual mistakes. In fact, Spurs were everything that West Ham were not. And you can have a good performance. And when I look at Arsenal against Forest, it kind of puts West Ham against Forest into better perspective. I think they're an unsettled squad at the moment. They're in transition. Not the squad in terms of personnel, but just in terms of the upheaval at the club. And I don't think that result for West Ham against Forest was representative of where West Ham are at the moment. I do think it's representative of where Spurs are. Spurs at the moment are better organised. They're more efficient. They use the ball better. They're better at set pieces under Thomas Frank. I don't really know what West Ham are under Graham Potter. And that's the big worry. It's the big worry for a lot of fans who have been concerned about the transfer policy. I think they do have decent personnel, but at the moment they just lack the organisation to live with teams like Spurs at the moment.
I've got a bit of a different take on it. For 30 minutes, West Ham were good in terms of making chance. They looked a threat. They had a couple of really good chances. Paqueta missed a sitter. Somerville was lively. Maybe 25 minutes, 30 minutes. They were well in the game. The problems they had in the first half were only corners and the disallowed goal, which was probably a bad. They should have had a penalty, Tottenham, actually, when Mateus was holding Van der Ven.
In that same moment?
No, it was another one.
Oh, no, that's right. Sorry.
But Tottenham, as the first half, gained confidence and got possession and control of the game without making any chances in open play, really. Tell was struggling up top. And I think what Graham Potter's talking about, just listening to him, is that the centre-halves were quite comfortable. Kudus was a threat. Good battle going on the right. But the centre-halves generally were... Tell was struggling to link the play up.
Okay.
And Tottenham's dominance wasn't creating any chances for them. It was creating corners and long throws. And they were causing all sorts of problems because of West Ham's set plays at the minute, as you saw in the Chelsea game, all over the place. So they're 0-0 half-time and probably thinking, we're in this game, we've got to tidy up the set plays. Because now what happens is Tottenham go 1-up. Sawyer has got the freest header you'll ever see off a set play, which, whether that's the manager's fault, whether that's the players not doing the job, whatever, you're down again from a set play, right? So you're losing 1-0, right? You've got to get yourself together and get back in the game. You're at home. You've got players on the bench, you can come on. The game was still in the balance. But what happened when the lad did the stupid tackle, Souček, and got sent off, Tottenham scored a minute later. So you're 2-0 down at home against the Tottenham side who's now full of confidence. The fans are, some of them are leaving, some of them are frustrated. You're done, really. So in terms of performance, when he's talking about taking the positive, he's watched that first half back. I'm sure he has probably 3 or 4 times. And there was some good stuff.
There's a couple of things I want to just pick up on, because you would speak to this better than me, but you say that when we talked about Man United, they said they were right for an hour. You know, when we talk about West Ham, they were right for 25 minutes. But you, far better than me, would know 25 minutes, half an hour, that's not enough.
No.
You know, because the good teams are focused all the way, particularly when it's tight. The good teams will seize on the slightest mistake you make, seize the advantage, and know how to defend that advantage.
I take it, but as a coach, now Potter finished, he hasn't had a good spell since he's come in.
No.
So it's all accumulation of stuff. So they've had the win at Forest. The fans turn up there positive for the game against Spurs. So what does he want? He wants his team to be, play with some confidence. You've got your win. Show these fans what you're about. And actually, early in the game, they were a better team in terms of creating chances. Now, Tottenham grew into it, of course. You're going to be on the back foot sometimes away from home.
But Dan, would you not expect, given that they're playing at home, given that they're off the back of a very healthy win, you'd expect them to be...
Yeah, but they were. And what I'm saying is we were smiling a bit at him talking, because what he's done is watched it back and he saw that defensively, first half, the only problems they had were corners and long throws. Only. They defended well. Look,
and you don't
part
think
of football is defending corners and long throws. I get it.
I was going to say that, and not only that, but what Frank has done with Spurs is very similar to what he's done with Brentford, which is that he said, "Listen, don't worry about open play. Just stay defensively solid and compact. we'll see if we can hit them with the set pieces. And that's exactly what they've done.
That's the great thing about a manager like him, is you find different ways to win matches.
Yeah.
And they don't have to rely on opening up a team when you've got these long throws and these corners being whipped into great areas. You've got big lads attacking it. And you could argue West Ham got lucky that the goal was disallowed, that Romero scored, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just talking about if you're a manager of a football club and you watch a game back and then you have to go and speak publicly, I don't blame him. It's not ridiculous of him to point out the positives, because when fans listen who are a bit open-minded and not so passionate and engaged about it, if they go back and watch it back, the game changed on the sending off. Now, I'm not saying West Ham would have necessarily got back in. Tottenham are well organised, and you're right about mention Thomas Frank, and they've had a great start, and I'm pleased for them. I wanted Tottenham to win the game. But the reality is that the first half, the game at Forest and the first half performance there, from a are we progressing? Does this look like a team that's getting a bit better? The new signing's done well in his first 2 games. He looked lively. Mateus, the lad from Southampton. Is that his name?
Fernandes.
Yeah, Fernandes.
Mateus Fernandes. Yeah, first name, second name. Yeah. They aren't having a good time, and they are not going to win football matches defending set plays like they did because I was at the Chelsea game, or they did against Tottenham.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And that's down to the coaching staff. But talking about his comments there, just in isolation, there was some positives, but there was also negative.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. I mean, in terms of headed goals, by the way, they've conceded the most headed goals already in the Premier League, which is 5. So that clearly issues for them to work on.
Well, the irony is that's quite a lot of those players under Moisey at West Ham. They were one of the best at set play.
Well, it's a different manager. But
It's a different set piece, coach.
Well, this is true. But is it as doom and gloom as people are suggesting then?
Well, it depends on your expectation of West Ham as a fan, I suppose. You want to be entertained and you want to win some games. Of course you do.
Well, they're one of the favourites to go down, the way things are.
They're not going to go down.
Okay, just
not
seeing
in
how
a
you...
million years.
Why'd you say that with so much confidence?
Because Bowen, Somerville, Paqueta, Fulkrug, if you look at the firepower they have compared to some of the other teams they compete, Leeds, Burnley...
You love it when I disagree with you, so I'm going to do that now.
Please do.
The West Ham side that went down in the early noughties, far superior to this one. Cole, Carrick, Canuti. That there were some outstanding players in that team, but the lack of organisation, the lack of consistency. There were games where they should have won but didn't. I remember covering that as a young reporter. Lots of hard luck stories in that team. And I just think the level in I'm sitting right next to you.
None of them
know all about the level.
Opinions. None of me saying if I'm categoric, it doesn't mean I'm going to be right. It's just how I see it. I don't see it. Like, if you break down West Ham starts of the season, they lost to Sunderland, they lost to Chelsea, and they lost to Tottenham. And in all 3 games, they couldn't defend crosses and set plays.
And you know which was the most damaging of those defeats? The Sunderland one.
Yeah, because
I remember I've got a lot of West Ham mates, right, who were particularly incensed at that defeat. Exactly. And I think it's a perfect storm of stuff, because there is concern about the transfer business, there's concern about the players that have gone, there's concern about the keeper. You know, they had to re-sign Lucas Fabianski because of concerns about it. I mean, there are so many things. And so what I don't want West Ham to go down. I'll admit I got a little soft spot for them. I covered them for a long time, and I think that they're a good club. The good people there, and I hope they are able to dig in.
If West Ham go down, I'll change to golf commentary.
Listen,
I
think it's very, very, it could do actually. It's very, very early to kind of say with confidence, given that, as you said, to start this chat off, they've conceded 8 goals now in the last
in 2 home games.
In 2
I do understand the fans' frustration at the lack of legs in midfield, but the new lad has added a bit of legs, but ultimately. They've got enough to stay up.
All right, we're going to take a break. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. Next, we're going to be asking, what has happened to Aston Villa? evening to you. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT, and it is Darren Lewis, Danny Murphy and Natalie Sawyer with you. And this is your chance to win £25,000 as well as tickets to see Oasis at Wembley on Saturday the 27th of September. This Friday we're calling 2 lucky listeners on air who will go head-to-head for the cash. Both will score the tickets, but only one walks away with that 25 grand. Get a pen and paper ready. Listen up. Here's how you enter.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word Oasis to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission. Or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 19th of September at 9 a.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
And we wish you the best of luck for that. Now, let's turn our attentions to what happened at Hill Dickinson Stadium. It still feels quite difficult to say it when, one, it's an unusual name of a stadium, but also you're so used to saying Goodison when it comes to Everton. But it was a goalless draw between Everton and Aston Villa. And I don't think many people at the start of the season would have thought that Aston Villa, I know it's early, would have been in the relegation zone with just 4 points from their opening 4 games, yet to score a goal. The only team, I think, in the whole entirety of the English Football League who are yet to score a goal. Danny, what's gone wrong with Villa?
Do you know what? I was thinking about it the other day when I heard somebody ask this same question, and it's hard to put your finger on exactly. Because of the quality of the manager, and we know the players they've got are talented, play a good brand of football. It's surprised us all. I can only think really that, because it's not a lack of quality, it must be a little bit of, I don't know how their pre-season was, how intense it was, how long it was, which players came back when. Sometimes a team starts a season slow and then has to catch up and more from a physical. They don't look as sharp and as confident as we've seen them many times before. There's a little bit of a lethargy about them.
That's exactly the word I was thinking.
And
I've seen them, and that's exactly what I thought when we beat them.
Yeah, you beat them well, and I think one of the things we've generally seen under Emery's teams with Villa is the ability to control the ball well and have good possession and play good football, but also, you know, with pace and dynamism when they attack, especially when you think of the quality they've got. I know they lost their 2 loan players in terms of Asensio and Rashford, but they've signed now a few players, brought in obviously Harvey Elliott being the most recent one. I know don't think he started at the weekend, did he? I didn't see the game. So I think they'll be fine, but I don't think it's a quality issue in terms of the players. I think it's, for me, it feels like it's more of a physical one, like they're a little bit behind and pre-season hasn't gone as well for some. I don't know how many of them have got to the level quickly enough to start the season, because it is a long season for them, because they're in Europe, obviously. And I'd be amazed if there wasn't an improvement soon.
I mean, like I said, when I saw them, and it was our first home game, we beat them 1-0, they were very passive. It was very slow. There wasn't a zap to their team at all. And I don't know, I mean, listen, they have obviously brought a few additions, and you're right to point out the ones that are no longer there who made an impact. I mean, I thought Asensio was great. John Duran is another player that they are missing, in the sense of he was obviously starting a lot of games for Aston Villa when he was there, but he was also a sub that they could bring on when they needed to change games, and it feels like they're lacking so much.
Yeah, I actually, a slightly different take on it, in so much as I wonder if they're struggling a lot from the emotional intensity that they put into qualifying for the Champions League and missing out right at the last.
Little hangover.
Yeah, a little hangover.
Possibly.
You know, because I just think it seems to have knocked the stuffing out of them. Then you come back, obviously, had they qualified for the Champions League, they might have had a chance of keeping Asensio, keeping Rashford, keeping the quality at the club. Financially, obviously, that would have helped them. PSR's knocked the stuffing out of them as well. There's been a lot, and it feels a little bit like after the Lord Mayor's show at Aston Villa.
It's a good point.
And
first one tonight, but
thank you.
9:28.
I think 9:28. Exactly. Keep that on record. And I just think it's going to take a while. And then if you factor in Ollie Watkins and all the speculation with Manchester United, the goalkeeper,
he's not been happy,
Martinez, who's not.
Well, the Ollie Watkins thing I think is interesting as well, because again, if you go back to last season, he didn't play some of their major games because Marcus Rashford was preferred. I mean, that is going to have a bit of a sort of impact on a player, is it not? Danny? I don't know. Or can you move on from it?
I think it has an impact, depending on the individual, of course. I also think big player for them last year was Onana. He's been missing, hasn't he, for most of the beginning of this season. They've not had that balance in the middle of the park, which is so key. Decore, Onana. I think McGinn's played in there. I'm just trying to think who else they've had in there. But the confidence if you don't start a season well, and the pressure comes after 2 or 3 games, and you next one you go into, you think we've got to get something. It starts building, and maybe some of them are, as you say, a little bit flat after not progressing. But I think he's a high demand manager. He's very intense, and maybe some of them are just a little bit below par.
Yeah,
I was surprised at the weekend so they paid a bit of money for the lad Gessan, who's quick, strong, pacey player. Marlon, who they brought in from Dortmund last year, who hasn't really peaked. He didn't even get in the Champions League squad last year. But those type of dynamic players, he went for. I think he started the game at Everton with Buendia, tucked in off the wide, who's more of a 10, and I think McGinn might have played on the right. But the pace and legs you need in the Prem aren't quite there in the minute. But he'll find a way.
Oh, I think I've got no doubt about that.
I don't think they're gonna.
No alarm bells.
No, I don't think so, unless they've got a tough run coming up. But
not only are there not any alarm bells, I think if there are any alarm bells inside the club, I'd be amazed, because when you think about where he has taken them, when you think about the undefeated run at home that they went on under him, when you think about the belief that he gave them that they could qualify for the Champions League, the poor decision making that cost them a place in the Champions League. There's so many positives as far as Emery being at the club, what he took over from his predecessor, and the way that he transformed them. They'd be crazy to put him under any kind of pressure whatsoever.
No, I don't think.
If anything, I hope that they recognise what he's got and say to him and Monchi, listen, line up your players for the next time we're able to spend a bit, and we'll go again.
Weirdly, I sort of feel like they could score tomorrow night. They go to Brentford in the League Cup. That could be an opportunity just to get things going.
Maybe. I think you will see a lot of changes in that, because obviously Villa have got the Europa League to think.
But you're in a win-win situation, because if you're wrong, then you win.
I know.
If you're right, then you can say,
I look smart.
You beat Bournemouth last round, didn't you?
Yeah, 2-0. It was at Bournemouth as well. By the way, you were asking about their running. Not running. The next run of fixtures. Obviously, Brentford in the Cup. Then go to Sunderland on Sunday.
That's a big one.
Bologna in the Europa League, followed by Fulham at home, Feyenoord away, and then Burnley as well.
Yeah.
The next couple of games. Yeah. So it's winnable games.
It's amazing what a couple of wins can do for you as well. I've been there when you start a season poorly and you're like, come on, where's? And then you just have to find a couple of wins and boom, it kicks on.
Yeah.
And the other way as well, you can start a season really brightly and everyone's flying and you think nothing's going to change and someone will put you back down a peg or two. And that's the beauty of the Premier League, isn't it? But I still think Villa will be, top 7, top 6, top 7.
I can see that.
A quick word on Newcastle, who it was obviously apparent they were missing a front man. They brought in Nick Voldemade. On his debut, he scores a goal.
I'm delighted for him, I've got to say. I've seen a bit of him, and each time I see him, I'm really impressed by his touch.
I know.
This guy is...
Great touch for a big man, as the
Yeah.
Honestly, but it is. He is so technically adept. I watched him play for Germany against Northern Ireland. He set up the first goal in that match for Serge Gnabry. He puts himself about, and sometimes people say he puts himself about, and he just makes it sound as though he makes a nuisance of himself. He's a very intelligent player. He sees the big picture.
He goes looking for the ball.
He goes looking for the ball. He brings other people into the play. And when he's presented with an opportunity, he's able to take it. He scores more goals on the deck than he does with his head.
There was a number about his headers in his career, and they're very, very few.
Very few.
For a big man.
Yeah.
Which ain't a bad thing, because he's so talented with his feet. But I think if Newcastle think they've got the new Shearer or Duncan Ferguson, that's not quite the case.
But conversely, I mean, him scoring in that first game for Newcastle changes the narrative completely. Suddenly, they're not sore about Alexander Isak, as they would have every right to be. Suddenly, they've got a new hero. I was delighted for him scoring.
Well, and they've got your mate coming.
Well, he's injured, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, but, soon enough he'll be competing.
Yes, and Wissa picking up an injury while playing for the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Did he play the majority of his games last year as a centre forward or wide?
Centre forward.
Yeah, I thought he did.
Yeah. Brian on the right, Kevin on the left.
I wonder.
First name terms.
They ran yours for a drink last night, weren't they?
We're all one big happy family. I was like, and you do what you like. No, unfortunately, he's out for a little spell, about 4 to 5 weeks with a knee injury as a result.
No, but Voltemade, listen, he's got his feet under the table very quickly.
Great Muzzy as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So confident, isn't he? Rocking that Muzzy.
Sorry, I was trying to think of something to say off the back of it, but go on. We're going to take a break. Again. I've gone. Great Muzzy for a young man.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to go north of the border, take a look at Russell Martin's dismal start to life as the Rangers boss. That's next. This is Kick-Off on talkSPORT. Pleasure to be with you this Monday evening. And it is Darren Lewis, Danny Murphy and me, Natalie Sawyer, as we take you through into the sports bar with Jamie and Jason. So get your calls into the chaps now. The latest episode, by the way, of the 21 Minutes to Go podcast with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy is out now.
You said that with 21 minutes to go?
Yeah, 20.
That's 1 seconds, that was. Huh? Oh, no, it is 21 minutes. Sorry, I was looking at the second. Oh, my, so well timed. Hey. I'd love to say that was perfectly, planned, but it wasn't. Andy and Jason have exactly 21 minutes to discuss whatever topic they want to, and you can listen in via your usual podcast provider. Yeah, they talk about all sorts. And the thing is, once that 21 minutes comes and goes, that's it. It's the end of the conversation.
You can't get them back.
Nope, that is true. And so whatever they're talking about, if it happens to end at 21 minutes, you might not hear the rest of that conversation, but it's still worth tuning in for. Rangers, let's talk about them, shall we? Because life has certainly not gone well for Rangers under Russell Martin. They were beaten at the weekend at home by Hearts, a victory that actually took Hearts to the top of the table for a day. That's before Celtic beat Kilmarnock, I should say. Interestingly, something you alerted me to, Darren, is that this morning, Russell Martin took his Rangers players wild swimming as part of a team bonding exercise. So they went to Loch Lomond as they bid to arrest their slump. He has lost his 6 games in charge in terms of the Scottish Premiership, becoming the first Rangers manager to do so. He's one of those, when we talk about, this is how I want to play, I'm not changing it, it clearly doesn't work for him. Yet he doesn't seem to want to listen to any of the other conversations that are taking place.
Well, I think that accusation came to him at Southampton. I haven't seen enough of Rangers games to know if they're trying to mix it up or not, to be honest with you. I think if I speak about the subject of like trying something to change the momentum.
So the swimming?
Yeah, okay. The swimming. It's a difficult one.
How would Danny Murphy feel about going wild swimming?
I would feel like 90% of the other lads probably and think this is a load of old tosh.
Right.
But there are examples I've had of kind of team bonding things that I was very sceptical of that actually went better than anticipated.
Okay.
Go on, give me an example.
We once, Liverpool had a guru, not call him a guru, but he's like a self-esteem expert, a bit of a psychologist type fella. And he came in to do it was the night before a game. We'd been struggling a bit. And we were all asked to bring in something that meant something to us. And we were all going to have to get up and speak. Which I think most of the lads were, as you can imagine, what the hell are we doing? Because it's out your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And it became a very elongated meeting where people started sharing stuff that was quite powerful and moved away from like, oh, here's my first football boots. It kind of went deep. And I certainly think there was a coming together of certain people, especially some of the lads who maybe were on the periphery or who were newer. Some of us knew each other quite well anyway, but it was certainly like whoa, this is
deep.
Didn't expect that. And we got a great result at Arsenal, got a draw, and they were flying at the time, Arsenal. Now, I don't know if it made any difference, but it was worth trying, and I think it did. I do remember one funny bit about that, though, because generally the lads will take the mickey out of any bad team bonding day. Paintballing once at Fulham and with Martin Yarn, it was lashing down. I was like, what? The lads, senior players, like, what are we doing here? Just give us a day off, for God's sake. But I remember the meeting we had in the hotel. It went on a couple of hours, probably nearly a couple of hours, and we were expecting maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. But as I said, it was quite powerful. And the likes of me and Jamie Carragher at the time, Carra loved his football as much as me. And there was 1 or 2 people still to go with their objects and all that. And Carra says, match of the day's on at 10:30. Can we not call it a day? Because we all wanted to get, because we were playing on the Sunday, that was right. And match of the day was on the Saturday night. And we were all panicking again because it had gone on that long, but it was typical Carrot to put a bit of humour. But yeah, I don't think cold water swimming is necessarily the answer. I'd have probably gone more for a night out for the boys. let their hair down, have a few bevies.
Can you see what he's trying to do, though?
Yes, the sentiment's right. Do something
Yeah.
different, try and mix it up,
Yeah.
find a way, but cold water swimming isn't the way.
Listen, I, to be honest with you, moments like this, I love listening to you guys as ex-pros because, you know, you got that player mentality and you know what works and what doesn't and how it's going to be received in the dressing
I think most memorable, or not all memorable, but a lot of real in-depth conversations happen and are brutal, honest conversations when you are a bit freer with your speech, which normally comes after a few beers or a couple of glasses of wine and a nice dinner. It doesn't have to go mental to nightclubs and all that, but the lads make the effort to get together and go and socialise a bit. That's when you get the bonding and a bit of reality and a bit of people giving each other some honesty. It doesn't always happen in a work environment because it doesn't feel comfortable with some of the lads, and jumping in a cold river lock in Scotland, I don't think that's going to change much, to be honest. And it can work. There was a story when I left Charlton. Sorry, I've got to tell you. When I left Charlton, I was still good friends with the lads, and I don't know exactly the detail, but Dowie turned up as a manager, and he was quite extrovert. He was one of those, I think, Dowie, and you know there was internationals in that Charlton squad as well, senior boys, and he got them in at silly o'clock, like 6 or 7 in the morning, and some pool somewhere, and they all had to go swimming. And a few of the lads said he lost them that day.
Really?
Yeah, because he's jumped in first with his budgie smugglers on. Like, come on, lads, in you get. I'm the leader. And I'm sure he's a good bloke. I don't know him, so I won't, you know. But I know some of the boys were like, he's not for me. Straight away.
Just because he was trying to do something different?
Just because it says you're new to this, like, we're senior, but why are you getting us to jump in the pool at 6 o'clock in the morning and change, you know?
Yeah.
There's certain things as managers you have to understand. Don't you have to be open-minded? And I did get more open-minded to a degree as I got a bit older. But some things, come on, grown men, it's like senior internationals. To be fair to Russell Martin, the Rangers squad might be quite young. They might be not susceptible, that's the wrong word, but more open-minded to it. So good on him trying something different, but I don't think that's the first thing I would have chosen.
I mean, he's very protective over them. I was watching the press conference, and you know the guys were subjecting him to some tough questioning, as he should have, given the fact that they're 10th in the league after 5 games. You know they're doing poorly, and they've been beaten at home by Hearts. And he was talking about the fact that maybe some of them are a little bit scared and inhibited, and he was talking about the fact that you know it's about helping them to get better. And the question came back, well, if they're scared and inhibited, what does that say about what you're asking them to do and you know your ability to motivate them? So it's all very, it is not, there are lots of people, when we say pressure, managers under pressure, it sounds very much as though people are being very unforgiving, but they're asking very relevant, pertinent questions of him that then the fans aren't really satisfied with the answers to those questions. And he clearly, when they asked him, what are you going to do differently? This clearly is one of what he might see as the answers.
Well, the average age of the squad is 25, just so you know. I mean, he has, earlier on in his tenure, we should say, he's called out some of those players in the Rangers dressing room before, which hasn't gone down well, in particular with some Rangers fans, obviously, because he's so new to this club, calling out their egos, for example. And you're right, though, he has talked about an anxiety that is within this current Rangers team as well, hence why he is trying to do what he is doing.
But then that, do you know what that leads to? And actually, I've seen it before, so it's easy to talk about. When you get a group of players who are a bit uneasy at what you're trying to do, and the anxiety's there and nervousness there, is you take it away by simplifying the message.
Right.
So you simplify the message really quickly and really easily. And you play percentages for a while. You can go high tempo. The ball can go long. You don't have to overcome it just for a few games to get the confidence up. So the instruction you give them is really limited. And you just create a really high tempo, high intensity game where you're playing very percentage like football, but the fans will see you running about more. Even if you're giving it away more, everyone's trying to win it back because you've got some good players compared to the teams. You simplify the message. Anxiety in footballers is created by not mixed messaging, but too much messaging. Most footballers from the age of 14, 13 who I've coached, or even pros at Premier League level, I remember having long chats with Roy about this. Roy was always about not too much information, because not everyone's got the way you think.
The bandwidth.
Yeah. Okay, well, we will see what happens then with Rangers, who are next in action at the weekend. It's the Scottish League Cup. They host Hibernian on Saturday.
He's got to win that game. He's got it. Get knocked out of the cup at home to Hibs. Suddenly, people, they've been very vocal so far. I think that if he were to lose that game, the noise is going to be
have to win a few on the spin, aren't they?
Yeah. 100%.
Right. You're listening to Kick-Off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. It's the return of the Champions League this week, and we'll look ahead to it. Evening. This is Kick-Off on talkSPORT. Oh, we're just learning about some of the lovely books that are Danny Murphy.
talkSPORT Book Club coming to us Thursday, 4 o'clock.
Oh dear, Danny Murphy, Darren Lewis, Natalie Sawyer here. With you until 10. It's about love. That's the book you've been reading or have read. But every now and then you go back to, yeah?
Well, I must be learning a lot because I've been single for nearly 2 years.
Maybe you've learned to just love yourself.
Or maybe I've learned Maybe I've learned not to accept mediocrity.
Oh, what a word! I don't know what that says about your exes, but we won't go into
Well, I was talking about.
Stop. Let's move on before we get into more trouble. It's time now to look at the latest football action with Ladbrokes.
The big preview on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Our Andy Goldstein, Darren Bent will bring you all the build-up to talkSPORT 2's early kick-off tomorrow as Athletic Bilbao take on Arsenal. Kicks off at 5:45. Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle and Manchester City all in action across the talkSPORT network this week. Get all the team news, previews and reaction first on Champions League Drive, whilst here on Kick-Off tomorrow's show will be around the grounds from Spurs against Villarreal, while on Wednesday we'll have commentary of Liverpool against Atletico Madrid. And we're also on Thursday bringing you Newcastle against Barcelona. Really, really exciting to see the Champions League back. I suppose just in general, really. Let's Athletic Bilbao against Arsenal. Athletic Bilbao aren't, mainstays when it comes to the Champions League. It has to be said. Just the third time that they're in this competition.
And also, I watched them against Man United in Europa League.
Yes.
They were poor.
Yeah.
So that sounds you're expecting an easy Arsenal win.
Not easy, but I think they're anywhere near the
Excuse me.
I love how you're ready to go with your headphones.
You know what? No, I'm sorry, that's rude.
You see, you didn't read the book
going to listen
properly.
to my new audiobook on relationships, but anyway.
Okay. Martin Ødegaard will be missing through injury, and Ben White also not going to be playing either, unfortunately. What were they, semi-finalists last year, losing out to the eventual winners PSG. Do you think they can go deep again, Darren?
Yeah, I do. We're talking about their solid defensive base. They've added quality to the squad. In Zubimendi, Mosquera, Hincapié, who we were talking about off air, as well as an outstanding defender. And the teams that do tend to go deep normally have a really secure defensive base. The one thing I do think is that we saw last season, you don't have to be brilliant in the first league phase. I mean, it's a very different league phase, isn't it? Very much more unpredictable.
Enjoyable, I think.
Enjoyable, absolutely. PSG, they came close to finishing outside.
Yes,
down. They are going to take some beating, absolutely. What I will be fascinated by, I know that it's slightly off topic, but having sold Donnarumma to City, what would their replacement be like? What will his replacement, I should say?
He's really accomplished keeper. I was speaking to Julian Laurent about him, and he raves about him. Much better with his feet, apparently. So we'll have to wait.
The Champions League is going to be the test.
Well, PSG's campaign begins on Wednesday when they take on Atalanta.
Liverpool Atletico is a good game.
Yeah, really good game. Really good game.
Wednesday night live on talkSPORT. You can tune into that one from Anfield, and on talkSPORT 2 we've got Bayern Munich against Chelsea.
That one. I'm really looking forward to, because Bayern went 4-0 up against HSV at the weekend and they were sensational. They just ripped them apart within half an hour. Now, when I look at Chelsea's defensive frailties at Brentford the other day, it says to me that maybe it was a good thing, a blessing in disguise, in so much as they'll be so much more switched on for this match. But Harry Kane didn't play the whole match. Nicholas Jackson came on late on. I would imagine
take a draw there.
They would have to take a draw there, because I tell you now, Bayern look good, really good.
Very quickly then, predictions. PSG is the one to beat, clearly, you're both saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think outsider, Napoli.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Osimhen's there, De Bruyne's there, McTominay still scoring goals for fun.
Is Osimhen there? Gone back?
Yeah, Osimhen's there. Sorry.
No, he's in Turkey.
No,
I was going to say.
Sorry.
Højlund.
What am I saying? Højlund. Osimhen. Højlund is there.
That'll make all the difference.
Listen.
He scored actually on his first game.
Absolutely. Lots of people said when McTominay went there, he's not all that. MVP, Ballon d'Or nomination. This guy, Conte, is a guy who can transform careers and the perceptions of talents that maybe are underrated in this country.
Well, we'll find out how good they are, because they take on Man City on Thursday night on talkSPORT 2. That was all thanks to Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
The Big Preview on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
All right, that is it for kick-off this Monday evening. So, Darren, Danny, thank you.
I loved it. Been a pleasure. Bye.
Go and read your book. On the way next is the Sports Bar with Jamie and Jason.